Good afternoon, folks. We are now here and unmuted. Let me get everything switched over to the media share layout, and then we will go ahead and get started. And I'll take stock of everyone who jumped in here.
I'm refusing to talk because you said you were going to mute me, so I'm not going to talk, and I'm not going to be your funny little guy today.
No funny business from Wazzy.
Yeah, you don't get any comedy from me.
That's fine. I don't pay you to be
Wait,
funny.
why did you make me shorter than normal? Wait, what the fuck? Wait, look at your screen right now. Why am I just ahead? What the fuck did you do?
I think the last time your avatar was scaled differently. Would you like me to make you bigger? Would that make you feel better, Wazzy?
Yes. Yeah. I'm way down here.
No. Keep her small.
All right.
No, what
the fuck? Yeah. Yes. Good.
You fucking bitch. You fucking. I know where you live, you bitch. I know where you fucking live. Oh, okay, this is nice.
She's riding on my shoulders.
I'm going to put you right there, standing on the edge of the screen.
Yay.
You're so small.
Anyway, hi, crew.
What's happening, folks? Thank you for sending everyone over here, Wazzy. I see, let me take a look at the chat here. Silly Billy, Pinecone, Butterfly
Sky.
System,
I don't know that name.
Jane, Etch-a-Sketch, and a gift sub from Jade. Hey, thanks for the gift sub. Much appreciated.
Yay.
Welcome, folks. So let me explain what we're all doing here. Oh, and there's a whole slew of follows. I think I know what's causing my computer to be unhappy. I think it's simul streaming in Discord and streaming on Twitch at the same time is not liking that, but I think it'll be all right. We'll see. Let's see. Chaotic Aztec, Hazel Sky, and Silly Billy. Thanks for the follows. Very kind of you folks. All right, so let me explain what we're doing here. You should be able to see YouTube on the main screen here. So I've been talking about the Songs of the Spiral project for a bit. Oh, hey, what's up, Rackham Frackham? I know Wazzy's been talking about it on her streams too, so let me give kind of an overview about what the project is and then what we're going to be doing on stream today. So for folks who might not have been here before, if you haven't seen my content, in addition to all the random stuff I stream here, I also work on music assets for content creators. I make royalty-free BGM tracks for people to use on streams, YouTube videos, pretty much anything that you want to use stuff for. And every once in a while, I release a new album collection of tracks, usually based around a certain theme. And depending on who I'm working with, we have these launch parties to show off the work itself. Now, if you were here last year, we released the Lost Kingdom project. It was an RPG, kind of old school video game music type BGM collection based around kind of a loose narrative and story, and it featured characters based on a lot of our content creator peers. And so this year, I was talking with Wazzy a while back, and we decided that we're going to do a sequel project to last year's release. And so Songs of the Spiral is a sequel to The Lost Kingdom and is going to feature the same characters with a couple new ones that, again, are based on our content creator peers that we'll break down in between each track. So what I'll do is once we get started, I have the animation here up on YouTube. It's going to go live once we're done with the stream today, and we'll play through each track, and then once the track's done, we'll pause and talk a little bit about who's featured in it, the songs, and kind of the animation backstory and art. And for folks who are involved, just to kind of shout out everyone who worked on this. Everybody worked really hard on this project, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. Wazzy did the animations. The character designs and concepts were done collectively between Wazzy and Pwups. And the album art that you're going to see once the video starts was done by Captain Ahaf. And everybody did an incredible job putting all the stuff together. It was a big project, but I think you folks will like the way it turned out. So without further ado, we can get started. Do you two have anything to add before we jump in?
Yeah, you're not selling this right. Let me take it. Let me do it. Guys, are you ready to get your tits blown off by the most incredible collaborated project you've ever seen in your life? That's right, music, animation, art, all for free. You can use this. You can go to your house and you can use this for free. Brought to you by Raku. There you go.
You were muted.
You bitch.
I'm just kidding. I actually had to turn your volume down because your pitch was louder than your regular speaking audio.
Can you believe I could barely even talk yesterday?
I believe it.
Your poor brain was melting.
The world cursed me.
Yeah. Poor girl. Poor baby girl.
Anyway, your tits are about to be blown off, everybody.
Jade says, Raku, why'd you kill that man? We have the recording of your confession as evidence. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I've never even been to Wisconsin.
Yeah, you might want to move Wazzy down. People are saying her big head's in the way.
Okay, all right.
My big head is not in the way.
It might be a little bit. Just a smidgen.
I wanted to leave room in case anyone else we know jumps on the VC. I'll just move them off to the left, and we'll have a whole conga line of folks.
Yeah, put her beside me. You're my best friend.
Here,
Yeah,
I'll put her on
best
this side so it
friends.
looks like you two are talking.
Yeah, we're sharing secrets.
We're sharing secrets.
We have a hydrate reminder from Iconic. Drink your water.
Okay. I'm drinking my Gatorade.
All right, folks,
I have
let us
more.
kick off the project. Without further ado, this is Songs of the Spiral. Oh, yeah, and after we watch this video, we're going to watch a separate video for behind-the-scenes stuff. So you get 2 for 1 today. All right, let us have a listen. And let me know if I need to adjust any of the audio. Stream should be able to hear this fine, but for you folks on the Discord call, let me know if you can't hear it. All right, let's go. Thanks, computer lag. I'll try and catch it before the track ends every time, but might not always
And
be
you
successful.
never do.
No,
No,
especially
now YouTube is buffering.
Yeah, now it's buffering. Now you fucked it. Now you fucked it.
Now you gotta refresh.
Also, I don't mean to dox you or anything, but I want everybody in the chat to understand right now that we're looking at Raku's full YouTube page, and YouTube is recommending Raku a video of cooking the rarest chicken I have ever found.
On my screen,
He
it
hasn't
says
watched it, but
tears. Mom reacts Has-Been Hotel.
yeah.
thanks,
When you
folks.
watch-
That's really
when you
relevant to
watch
the stream
Raku.
right now that everyone needs to know about.
Hey, sometimes unrelated and stupid things show up in the sidebar.
Anyway, that was the first track of the album. That was Azure Tides. And one thing I'll mention that I think I talked about before, but for this particular project, this is the first one where we changed the format of the video for the tracks itself. The tracks themselves are about 3+ minutes in length, maybe with the exception of one of the later themes. But for the animation that Wazi did, instead of doing the full 3-minute repeat of the entire track as you'll find on the streaming platforms for the release, I cut them in half. So each of the track video animations is shorter. But the trade-off was that we were able to get a lot more detail and things in each one of those animations. So the video itself is shorter. Last year we watched the entire thing, it was about an hour. This year it's a little over half an hour. So
Thank you for that.
shorter animation, but much more complex animation.
In a later track, I will explain how that fucked me.
Oh yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. You know. You got a message about it. You fucking know.
Oopsie.
Wazi worked very hard.
She did.
So for the first,
I could hear her. She was like, "I'm working so hard," and I said, "You are."
and it was very much appreciated. Everyone worked hard on the project. So
We did. Cap did a great job. Is that posted somewhere?
the album art,
Yeah. So I can look at it in all of its glory.
It looked really cool. I
I
wanted
can
to
send
see
it to
up
you. I can send it
close.
to you guys later if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the thumbnail for the video itself, but I could send you the art if you want to look at it.
Well, yeah, but it's real small. I want to fucking look at it. God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it after the stream.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for track number 1, this is the setup to our story as things unfold. It takes place a little bit after the events of Lost Kingdom. For folks who were there for that project and remember watching the story for that one, the character we see on screen here, which is based off of me, who's not named in the original Lost Kingdom project, he was just the villain and called him the Tyrant. But his name is Roctus Sinfonia, and he is a corrupted human as a result of what happened in the first story, but he didn't die. He was defeated at the hands of the party, but he didn't die. He was kind of cast down and regained consciousness in a different part of the world. And so the story kicks off with him sort of regaining his faculties and setting out into the world for unknown reasons. And so for the first track, I thought it would be a good setup for the story to have it be kind of like an ocean sailing type theme. Nothing really too crazy as far as setting up a lot of the things we'll see later. I will say, and Wazi and Pups can probably corroborate this, water is a really prevalent theme throughout this particular album.
Yeah.
We are going to see water-related things throughout the entirety of the story. And so the theme itself is pretty melodic. It doesn't have a lot of percussion. It's got kind of a simple tempo to it. But again, like people are saying, it sounds like you're kind of out on the ocean and sailing to and from a destination. And I felt like that was a good setup. So, Wazi, did you want to talk about the animation and what we set for the scenes?
So this one, of course, is, and a thing you'll notice, in the Lost Kingdom, everybody was facing towards the left side of the screen. And in this animation, I tried to make everybody facing more the right side of the screen, as if we're going back. So that was kind of like a stylistic choice. You'll kind of notice if you kind of compare the two projects. And about the design, me and Pwoops thought you should have a little slut hole to show where your gem is in your shirt. So that was all Pwoops that gave you a titty window shirt.
Yeah, he needed one. It's vital.
It was
On
very
brand.
vital, and I think it's perfect. I think it was perfectly well done. This design was fully 100% Pwoops. I don't think I had any tribute into this besides like maybe one of his horns is broken. I think was my only input.
I think you also influenced the colors for sure.
I think maybe. I can't remember. But yeah, the animation of this, the background is a lot better than it looks. Because I accidentally made the background too tall, and so you don't even actually see the full background. I drew the background not in perspective to what the scene I was working on, so the actual background is much taller. But that's a mistake I made, and so you get this.
I like that the background moves and then we see stuff in the back. One thing you folks will want to make sure and pay attention to throughout the different tracks in the release, in addition to the characters and stuff going on in the foreground, you also want to keep an eye on stuff going on in the background too. There's a lot of detail between the different perspectives that Wazzy threw in, which is a really neat touch. Oh, hey, 100 bits from It Be Blockhead.
Yeah, that's DB Cooper. He has gifted you with money from his plane.
Thank you for, and a gifted sub to Icy Jane. Thanks for the bits and gifted sub, It Be Blockhead. Much appreciated. Hey, Gears is here too. What's up, Gears? Hope you're doing well. We are just starting off the Songs of the Spiral album. This was track 1. We're getting ready to move on to track 2. Was there anything else you folks wanted to add? Sorry, I just saw the stuff in chat. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I don't. No, this one was super easy.
Also of note, since someone else might mention it at some point. Oh, good lord, is that a hype train? Jade gifted a sub to Iconic.
Yeah, hype trained, idiot.
I think I need to make sure and add my stream bot stuff to the media share layout. I don't use it very often, usually only when we do music releases now. So all of my regular like bits and sub alerts aren't there. So you folks can't hear all the funny stuff I normally have for my alerts. So that's my bad. But thank you for the bits and subs, folks. Much appreciated. I could try and add it now, but I don't want it to hose everything. Let me see. We'll leave it for now. My computer's already unhappy enough, it seems.
Poor computer.
Oh, Wazzy's tossing
Struggling to
100
survive.
butts. 100 butts from Wazzy. Thanks for the butts. All right, let's move on to the second track, and I will try and cut it off before we get to the one after that. This next one is called Intrepid Explorers, and I'm just trying to jump using the chapters here. There we go. All right. I know it's about to cut off right there. So the second track, Intrepid Explorers, introduces a lot more of the cast. So we'll kind of talk through who's who and who we see on screen here. And then as the rest of the cast gets introduced throughout the next couple tracks, we will talk about them as well. So first up, let's go left to right. We have Wasley Quickfoot. And we can talk about character classes too before I forget, since we kind of established, like D&D style, all the cast members have a sort of class that they fit into for their role. My character, Roctus, is a mage. He's actually a geomancer mage. So he uses crystals and crystal type things in his attacks. And Wasley is, I think we decided like a ranger, like a ranger type class.
I thought she was a barbarian fighter sort of deal.
I'm gonna be honest, I have no fucking idea. I have an axe.
You have an axe. That's why I thought you were like a fighter. Like alongside Matt.
I'm just some fucking guy. I'm a badly specced person.
Wazzy's character is supposed to be kind of like a quick physical attacker type. Matt's a bit more of like a slower heavy hitter type. So it kind of depends. It's more like a hand axe, so kind of like a ranger, not rogue. That's Banani's character, but we could also just have it canonically be true that Wazzy did not allocate her points correctly in her, so hers is kind of like a split class, as it were.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of everything, and I'm not good at anything.
Let's see. Moving on to the right, we have Plops's character. This is Ponk Gremlinbane, another one of the magic users of the group. Ponk is a summoner mage, and we'll see their abilities as we get a little bit further on, or if you remember from the last release, Ponk has the ability to summon some helpful creatures to fight in battle.
Yes.
Next up, over here, if you can see my cursor. Oh boy, my computer. This is Nyani Voracian. This is Banani's character, new one to the story. She showed up in Lost Kingdom, but she was a bit of a kind of NPC side character. And we'll get into a little bit of the story for this one, but Nyani is a rogue. She uses knives. And the reason why she joined is connected to Froggy, which we'll see in a little bit. Kind of a lead into what the party is doing here. We'll talk about Matt first, then we'll talk about the story, I guess. And last one on the right, this is Mattias the Crimson. This is Matt's character, a fighter warrior, kind of the default protag of the story. I think him and Wazzy are like the lead and co-lead, I guess. But he is the sword-wielding heavy hitter of the group.
Oh, I fucking die. There's like, how am I the co-lead?
You're like the Krillin of the group.
What the fuck?
Oh.
The lovable, iconic character, but dies a lot.
Okay,
That's
that's Yamcha. That's not Krillin.
But Krillin's strong.
Yamcha just dies.
Yamcha's not strong.
Yamcha just dies and then he like never returns.
Yeah,
Okay,
he never
fine.
gets strong. Krillin's like the strongest human on the planet.
Okay, fine.
So for the setup here, the party is hanging out in the forest and they're looking at a map here. You can see on the tree on the right. And the reason why they're looking at a map is because they are currently searching for Froggy. After the events of the last story, he was kidnapped by an unknown group whose sort of function we'll see as we go along. The green spiral emblem that we saw in the previous scene and was on the banner that's behind my character that fell down is the emblem of the cult. That's going to be the major antagonistic force for the story. And so the party is sort of deliberating in the forest while they're figuring out what to do, and then Roctus shows up unexpectedly and kind of surprises them. What we don't see in this scene is sort of like the communication between this enemy they fought before and this guy who just showed up again and what's going to happen. So for the scene itself, Do you want to talk about what you did for the animation, Wazzy? This one's a little more simple, but it introduces a lot that sets up later.
So yeah, the whole point of this scene was everybody was planning to go save a character, and so we needed to add Raku coming into the scene, but later, Rockdus, sorry, coming into the scene, but later. So that's why he shows up near the end. Some little tidbits you might notice in the fire, you'll see something green. That's actually, if you look at the behind them, that's one of the banners of that you saw in the original or in the first video. They ripped down one of those banners and they used that for kindling. So that's why there's green in the fire. And the map is actually a crudely drawn map of my neighborhood with the house at the other end of the street circled.
Oh, I can see it now. I can't see it now. I'll have to take
Don't
your word
dox
for it.
yourself, Wazzy.
It's crudely drawn. You can barely see it.
I didn't catch the banner kindling in the fire. That's a
Well,
good
why
touch.
the fuck
I know.
else would there be green in there?
Yeah, I can see it now. That's a cool touch.
Yeah. You think I didn't work hard? I fucking worked hard.
So hard. Also, I love the way you had Ponk like spring off the screen. It's so cute.
Yeah.
I almost shrieked when that happened.
I
was like I didn't mute myself, so I was like,
I made your and my characters very bouncy. So
yeah.
so our two characters are very. Should we talk a little bit about the design poofs?
We could save that for the end because I did send some stuff to Raku.
Okay, that's fine.
And he also put together something, I think, right?
Yeah. All of the concept work and things that went into the design stuff is in the behind the scenes video. So if you guys want to talk about that all at once when we get there and we can go through like all the characters in one shot,
Okay,
then that's
that's
fine.
fine.
Yeah.
Then I will say this. I needed a default pose for Banani, and so I had her juggle knives. But in real life, true to form, I would never trust Banani to juggle knives.
Oh no.
Listen, I know her in real life, and no, listen, Banani, if you ever hear this, no, nobody.
One thing that is pretty neat about this project compared to last year that you folks will see as we go along. Last year we had the representations of all the characters and they kind of had their own idle animations, and depending on what they were doing, sometimes they'd be walking or sometimes standing in place with like a setting changing around them, like a different environment or whatnot. In this project, the characters rarely do the same thing in every scene. You might see some of their walking animations be used, but largely it's a lot more dynamic. So it's not just the same character animations in different settings. Everything is a lot more kind of fluid and adapts to what's going on, which is kind of why we wanted to shorten the format so that Wazzy could play around with the characters more and have them do stuff instead of just kind of sitting there idle posing or idle animationing in each scene, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
It turned out well. You folks will see it. So with that, are we ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, we will move on to the third track. This is Ancient Halls. All right, got it right as it was fading out. So that was Ancient Halls, and we were introduced to two more characters in the cast. This is the last two, with the exception of Froggy, I believe. On the left, we have a character inspired by fellow streamer and friend of the channel, Bitsblight. This is Sir Causticus Bloomblight. And Causticus is an alchemist. He's a plant alchemist, which is a little bit of a unique idea we kind of came up with in the last project. You'll see that Causticus carries around these little bird-shaped flasks or bottles, and these are what he uses for the different types of alchemy abilities. He'll mix stuff up and either cast them or drink them or use them in some fashion, which is a pretty neat idea. And I'm sure Wazzy will talk a bit about this more, but from the plot perspective, Causticus has kind of gone crazy a little bit, so his animations seem very jittery and erratic, and he always seems like he's having some sort of mental breakdown, which is very interesting to watch, as we'll see. On the right, yeah, Ace, this character was inspired by Bits. Both the color palette and the bird theme. The bird mask, kind of like a plague doctor mask. We're talking about this on one of our discussions, but race-wise, you can't see it because Causticus has this bird mask, but he's an Aarakocra, which is a race from D&D. It's like bird people. And so he's like a bird man wearing a bird mask, which I thought was kind of funny. But he doesn't have wings, which I think is a plot point. But yeah, the color palette definitely takes Bits' colors. And then on the right, as folks guessed in chat when we started the scene, this is Ramo Tonkotsu. This is a character that was inspired by another one of our peers and friend of the channel. This is TGI Ramen's character. And Wazi kind of went ham on the animations for Ramo this time. In the first release for Lost Kingdom, this character, he still looked like a sentient noodle man. I was telling Wazi and Pops when we were doing the concept development, the race that Ramo belongs to, they're called the Soba Men. They're like a race of sentient noodle people, which is a fun idea. But in the first one, he was kind of more of a bipedal dude with just 2 arms and 2 legs, right, Wazi?
Yeah.
And in this one, she thought about kind of taking that concept and expanding it out and making it kind of more detailed, which resulted in the sort of large, massive noodles, which I imagine Ramo's people look like, or can look like.
We'll get into it when we talk about character design, but this was actually Whoops and me fucking me over.
Okay.
We were talking about the world and how it changed, and we decided one of the things was that it got hotter.
Yeah, everybody took off their clothes.
So you'll see everybody's got a little bit less clothing than they did in the first one. And so we just decided what would a noodle man do when he gets warm, and we decided he'd take off his pants. and then I had to draw a bunch of noodles, and it was great and funny at first, but then when I got into animation, I was like, this was actually a terrible idea.
Yeah. Ozzy struggles for her art.
I do.
Is it a canon reason that the reason why Causticus is freaking out so much is because he didn't remove clothing?
Probably. Right?
No, I think it's just it was just kind of like an idea I had that, like, wouldn't a fucking chemist who, like, constantly huffs their own stuff and, like, is constantly making potions that even they don't know what they do, eventually they would go a little bit crazy, I think. I don't think that was part of the design. It was just, as I was animating, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if he went crazy?
It definitely makes fun. Yeah, it makes her a fun character.
So yeah, you'll see him, and he's just kind of twitchy in this. There's like one scene where he's not twitchy, and then other than that, he's fucking... If he moves erratically, it's because of the fumes.
He be huffing, he be puffing. He got them fumes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No more reason, just funny.
Yeah. Also for
just for fun.
For character classes, Ramen's character is a bard. TGI Ramen does play musical instruments in real life. I think he said trombone and guitar, 2 of his main instruments. So keep an eye on what this character does, and you might see some references to other musical instruments. As part of his animation, we saw towards the middle, you see him bust out the maracas. He kind of shakes them for a little bit, and then he puts them away, and they keep going. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, there is. We'll see it later, but you'll see the breakdown of the noodle legs and everything like that. And as he appears in later animations, you'll see I didn't want to move his legs too much, so he pretty much has standard legs the entire time. As soon as I got one rotation of legs down, I was like, we are not changing this. I'm keeping this for every time he shows up.
Fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. Unless you wanted to break the animation budget on one character. Ace says, I wonder what flavor ramen is. Mexican?
Mexican's not a flavor.
I was gonna say beef, dude.
You can have Mexican flavored seasoning. You can buy it in a package.
Would you
We'll let
trust
him
it?
decide. We can ask him what his character's flavor is going to be, and he can decide for himself.
Yeah.
Fajitas.
I think he tastes like just the dollar store package.
Oh no.
Well,
That's mean.
his last name is Tonkotsu, so maybe pork bone flavor.
Oh yeah. Little wormies feed off of beef pork bone.
This isn't fucking Dungeon Meshy.
Don't sue us. Original characters do not steal. All right, shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, this next one is Ritual of the Occult. This is the one. Well, I'll talk about it when we get there. Let's listen. All right, we'll pause it right there. So that is Ritual of the Occult. This one's a little bit more kind of lower in energy, but kind of more of an atmospheric setup type song. It sets the scene pretty well. So in this scene, we are introduced to our final cast member, the 8th character to be featured, based on none other than Soggy Froggy himself. This is Sagrius Murkwater, and class-wise, in case I forget to mention it, he is a swamp mage and the healer of the group. In the last story, Froggy's role was to basically help pick up the party, especially when some of the more glass cannon-based ones like Wasley get laid out flat. He can pick the party up and heal them, or cast defensive magic, and he's like their support mage. In this scene, Froggy has been kidnapped. This is the group that has taken him from everyone else. The cultists have this hooded robe outfit and these spiral masks, which Wasley will probably talk about later. But they have put Froggy to work in this sort of labor camp, and they're excavating for some sort of valuable item that they're looking for. and you could see other prisoners that are in the background that are also being forced into labor, which I'll let Wazzy talk about that if she had some specific references for the other folks you see here in the kind of chain gang. But in the music for this one, make sure I talk a little bit about what went into the tracks. I wanted to create kind of a more darker, occult-ish type sound, which is why you hear the kind of slow beat and the organ instruments and melodies here kind of take center stage in what you hear. And there's a little bit of a bass line. It's not a terribly complex track, but it's supposed to be kind of ominous and foreboding. Ace says, what if chat is the cult? I don't know.
Do you guys really want to be in a cult? That's
Yeah, I
not a
don't know if
great
you
place to be.
Yeah. Maybe we will
What
see.
is cult if not friends with special rules?
Well, it's usually unwilling friends.
Mm.
Let's talk about the scene itself. I will mention to the chat, and I told Wazzy and Pops this earlier, this track got copyright claimed when I uploaded this video to YouTube. Again, it's going to be live once we get done with the stream here, but when I uploaded this video, this track got me copyright claimed. And boy, was I not happy to see that happen again. I don't know what song is being claimed because the claim itself in YouTube, for folks who've never seen that before, it just says the name of the song, and sometimes it has a company. In this case, it didn't have a company. It just said, you've used this song called Changes, which there's a lot of songs called Changes, so I have no idea which one. But it said, this section of your video uses that song, therefore it is claimed by another company. And I had to submit an appeal like I've done before whenever I've released music, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, wasn't too thrilled to see that happen the other day when I was going through all the upload stuff. I have a first time chat from Kydra Man. Kydra Man says, now that I know what an ohm is, it's over for y'all. Ohm? I don't know what an ohm is. Maybe we'll find out. Ace says, leave it to YouTube. You made the sound copyright strikes. Yeah. It's the automated bot system. So for folks, again, if you ever upload your own created content to YouTube, the bots will flag things that are close to something that has a copyright on it. And if it flags close enough, then it will basically put that restriction on your videos, and any ad revenue goes to that company. And I can't monetize anything on my channel, but the idea that someone else is claiming my work and getting paid for it is not something I'm going to play. So that's why I had to dispute it. We'll see what happens. Long axolotl. That's fair. Axolotls are cool. All right, enough of my ranting. Wazzy and Pups, did you guys have anything to say about the scene itself? I can't hear Wazzy. Or Pups. I could see their things in Discord going off, but I can't hear them. Yeah, the things are lighting up. Why can't I hear you folks? Hold on. Let me try and rejoin the VC. That's never happened before. Here, let me do this.
God.
Yeah, send us the link. He needs to
Yeah.
send us the link.
There you go.
Just watch ourselves. God.
I think you guys are audible now.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Hopefully
send
you
us
can
the
hear
link
us.
so we'll just watch it on our own so
Yeah,
your
we'll just
computer
watch it here
doesn't
'cause
die.
obviously you can't handle it. Can't handle how cool we are.
Yeah, can you send us the link to it?
Yeah.
I can.
Because it's unlisted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually privated. I think I can send you the
Yeah.
link anyway.
Yeah, just send it to us. Yeah. Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
To be fair, this has not happened on a stream
Da-da-da.
before, and I've done a lot of these so far.
This has never happened before, he says.
It hasn't. You were there for the last one.
No, I wasn't. You did the fucking
I mean,
techno one
the
last.
last Lost Kingdom one.
Oh, the last Lost Kingdom one, yeah. Not the last video release though.
No, you should have been there to watch though. If you didn't, that's rude.
Well, I was watching. I just wasn't part of it. Like I wasn't in the call.
Right.
Duh.
All right. See if this works, and then I won't have to share it through the VC.
Yes, I have opened it. Oh, it says video unavailable.
Okay, let me change it to just unlisted then.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can make it
Let us
private.
in.
Let us in.
Let us in.
Anyway, I'll talk about the scene because I know what I'm talking about. I don't need to see because I've seen it a million times. Making sure it was good. So in this scene, you'll notice I play a lot with the actual sound of the beats and everything. So this one is very musically inclined video. I'm quite proud of that. The dudes you see in the background are just random dudes. But as soon as I can fucking see an image here.
Try the link now. It should let you in.
Okay. One of the dudes is a soba man, the one with the kind of squiggly hair.
Oh. He's a soba.
Yeah, he's a soba man. Just because I wanted to show that there was other soba men out there. That's the one that's in the middle. The one on the far side, I don't know who that is. None of these guys had names. I just wanted to make sure that looked kind of like a soba man, and then the rest were just random guys. The cult leaders or the cult people, they just have cool masks, and stuff.
Bullshit.
That's what they're about.
Can I say I really enjoyed how you had the beat to when he's swinging and hitting the rock, and also the lights in the background. I like that. That's so fun.
I worked very hard on that, and also the lights also go to the wee.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
I like to imagine that's as you saw, the crew is kind of popping up in the background, kind of like peeking in, seeing what's going on, and that's going to be relevant in the next song. But I like to imagine that's whatever that far dude is digging up is emitting that weird light. But yeah, but that's just my thought. But yeah, this was a fun one to animate to the music. It was a little bit of a bitch to get him to do the sweat swipe animation and then get him back in position to hit the fucking thing on the beat.
I will say that when Wazzy was working on this project, and we were talking about the scene breakdown and the different things in the tracks themselves, a couple times she showed me her written notes for how she was putting the animation cues into the different sections, and she did it based on like onomatopoetic sounds instead of instruments, because I guess when I asked the question, I said, "Did you not know what instrument was what?" And she said, "No, I just went by what it sounded like to me." So her notes would say like wee woo wah woo punk, or like
I have one of them. Hold on, I literally have one where it was like, "Oh, this is gonna be on the wah wahs or whatever."
I think it was Friendly Surf that you showed me.
Yeah, like it was just like I don't know what music's supposed to be what. Like I don't know what instrument this is, so I'm just like, here's one, and it's like, oh no, that's the Final Attacks. Hold on. I wrote it on a piece of paper that it was like, oh, this person does this for this many frames and stuff. And it's absolutely like nobody knows what this is. Oh, yeah, it says drums is whoops, ramen is whoosh, diddly is spits, wee wee is Matt, and swoowa is Wazzy.
So
That's a different video. That's not this one, but that's the kind of notes that I'm writing in the background so that I know what I'm doing.
Very technical.
Very technical.
Terms.
Only the most precision of languages here.
Hey, man, if it works for you, then, it works for you. I'm not going to question it. But I thought it was really funny that you broke it down that way, because I could kind of tell, usually, if she's like, the doodly 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 part, I was like, okay, I know what part that is.
Yeah. I may not know the instrument, but I know the feel.
Right.
I'm all about vibes, man.
On on topic, not sharing through Discord immediately solved that random hiccuping problem. I don't know why my computer's doing that now.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. It wasn't doing that the other day when Pups and I were working on some drawing stuff and I was sharing my screen. It could be that running OBS, running the stream, running VTube Studio and everything at the same time and trying to stream and like from the source in Discord is stressing my computer a little. But yeah, I got to figure that out. That's not a problem that should be happening. Oh well.
Oh, well.
Ace says just when Wazzy shows up, scuff happened.
Yeah.
It could be
Yeah.
contagious.
It could be. Sometimes that happens.
There is no cure for scuff.
She's just rubbing her gross little scuffy hands all
Yeah,
over
you
your
just
stream.
nyeh.
Now,
Give me
ooh,
new
it's leaving
systems.
marks. Gross.
Disgusting. Don't have unprotected collabs, folks.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on?
Yes.
Sure.
The next song here is directly set up by this scene. And so let's check it out. This next one's called Blood and Blades. All right. Back up a little bit here. I'll probably just leave it. Yeah, we'll leave it here. So that was Blood and Blades, the first battle theme of the release so far. And like folks in chat were saying, kind of like a mini boss fight as the party with Mattias, Roctus, Ramo, and Costigus confront the cult for the first time in order to save Froggy. And then we have Nanny in the back tending to her, we're going to say, significant other. Those two are canonically a couple in this story. I think we've kind of established that throughout what we'll see later. Right, Wazzy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for the song itself, one thing you folks are going to see as we go through the tracks, especially folks who saw last year's release for Lost Kingdom, this time I tried to experiment a little bit more. I wanted to kind of push my comfort level when it came to some of the tracks, and we'll definitely see some later that I can talk about. But the themes are a bit more experimental than last year because I wanted to try some things that are a little bit different and outside my experience. So for Blood and Blades, we have kind of, I think it's the bass line, that kind of guitar riff that starts, and then we have the tom hits from a drum set that sort of start off separate from the beat. And then once the beat comes in with the different parts of the melody, sometimes it cuts out and you hear just the tom hits, which is not something I've really done before. But it was kind of fun to play around on ideas for a battle theme and still trying to make it kind of aggressive and sound like a confrontational type thing. And so we'll kind of see how that idea evolves throughout the rest of the tracks. There are other battle themes here. And for the kind of setup, before I pass it off to Wazzy, last year's Lost Kingdom battles were a bit more of kind of old school Final Fantasy style, where you have the party lined up facing, I think it was the left, and then they're fighting things on the other side, and they'll kind of jump forward and do their attacks. In this release, the perspective shifts to behind the party, and you see the enemy facing them head on. And I think you told me, Wazzy, this was inspired by a game you were playing. Was it Scared and Hungry?
Fear and Hunger, yeah.
Yeah.
Scared and hungry.
Yeah, I played like 2 hours of Fear and Hunger, and I was like, this is gonna be our battles now.
I think it turned out pretty well. It looks really cool to see the difference in perspective. So, did you want to talk about the scene itself?
Yeah, but I'm surprised you didn't admit to everybody your fucking crimes.
Oh, this is the one you're talking about? I thought you were talking about the battle later on.
What did you get charged for with this? I believe there was a charge on this video called emotional damage. Do you not want to talk about that?
Emotional damage. All right,
Yeah.
so I'm not afraid to admit when I screw up, unlike Wazzy.
Yeah, you want to fucking talk about that?
So Wazzy did the battle scene for Blood and Blades, and she sent the animation over because
It looked beautiful, by the way.
yeah, the way it works is she would create the scenes, do all the animation, then send it over to me for any final comments or tweaks before we move on to the next one. And so she sent this one over to me, and I thought it looked fine. Didn't have any issues with what she did until I checked it a little bit later. She was working on the next one. We'd moved on, and I realized she used the wrong
No,
track.
I was 2 ahead of this. I was on 7.
Okay, yeah, so she was 2 ahead, and I realized the audio file she used was an old version because we operate out of a shared Google Drive for all of our stuff. And I had told her that I made some edits to some of the tracks because I asked her for some comments, and I re-recorded and edited some of them. And then I put the tracks in our Discord chat, but I forgot to upload them into our shared drive when she was doing the animations. So she didn't have the latest version of this theme, which sounded a bit different. The intro and some of the instruments. Overall, it was kind of a different theme, so it wasn't just like, tweaks.
It
here
was a
and there.
completely different vibe, and I did have to tweak the animation quite a bit to fit this fucking music.
Hey, Bits is here. What's up, Bits?
Hey, Bits.
Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's your boy on the right there. That's Costicus.
It wasn't my fault, Red Dragon. He gave me the wrong goddamn audio file, so I charged him emotional damage for me fixing it.
Well, yeah. So Wazzy had to go back and redo the animation to time it to the correct track. I guess my mistake was not putting it into our shared resources folder and assuming that when I put it in our direct chat, she would have downloaded it from there, which now I know not to make that assumption anymore. But it's fine. It's not like she double charged me for the track. But I said, hey, if you're going to do it over again, then I'll pay for it.
No, I didn't have to do it over again. I just had to tweak it, and it took me like 2 hours, so I charged him emotional damage.
The invoice line does say emotional damage.
100% it does.
And it just links to the Stephen He meme video of the guy shouting emotional damage. But yeah, thankfully that only happened once. After that, I made sure that everything that we were working off of in our resources was uploaded in the right place. So I didn't get an angry series of all caps chats in Discord from Wazzy when she was working on something. But it turned out well, and I think having this version is a little more dynamic. And like you said in your comments, this one hits a bit harder than the original version.
It does, yeah.
And we have things like being able to play around with the perspective in the scene, which I'll let Wazzy kind of talk through now that we've aired out all of the skeletons in my closet.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm surprised you didn't fess up right away.
I didn't realize it was this one you're talking about. I thought we were talking about one later, but fine.
Oh, no, that one. Oh, we'll get to that one.
Yeah.
So that's later, buddy. This one was fun. I still wanted, even though Froggy's not in the fight, he does heal the team, so I did kind of need him to be there, but he has gone through hell. So I was like, but Annie's just holding him in the background while he's dying. It's fine. Again, we get to see Matt with his regular attacks. We get to start seeing Raku use the geomancy, and Ramen with his bards, and Bits fucking throwing bottles at people, which is just fucking funny to me. Yeah, I really enjoyed making the little knives for the cultist guy in this one. When I was trying to explain them to Matt, I was trying to tell him they were Star Wars things, and he didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. And I was like, no, trust me. They look like Star Wars things. And I still don't know what those Star Wars things are called, but they are definitely based on Star Wars things.
You mean the X-wing ships?
Oh, not Star Wars. Sorry, Star Trek. You know the guy with the ripply head in Star
You're
Trek?
talking the Klingon weapons. I think it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Batleth.
I don't know what
It's
it's
got a
called.
Nerd.
weird. It's got a weird
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, it's a thing, and I was like, "That's a cool weapon." So that's the weapon I gave them because I thought it was fun.
Yeah, they look like
But
these
yeah,
kind of like chakram blade type things.
yeah, I don't really have a lot of notes on this one. It was just this is fun, and I did this perspective because I played Fear and Hunger, and I was like, "That is a good battle perspective." It was a bitch to get Ramen to look in that direction. Everybody else was pretty easy. Ramen was the bitch of it. Everybody else was super easy to just go from the back.
It's again, terrible choices we made
Terrible
months and
choices we
months
made with
ago.
Ramen. We fucked. He looked so cool when we designed him, and then as animation started, we were like, "Oh, this is stupid of us."
Hey, I was right. I think Red Dragon has confirmed what I was
Yeah,
saying.
Red Dragon got it. See, it's a real thing.
It's
It's
a
a, it's a
thing.
thing. I knew what I was talking about.
Question on the
Fun
animation
choice.
for Ramen. I just thought, is his lower half with the wiggly legs the same animations, just with his upper body flipped around and drawn to be facing the opposite direction, or did you?
100% yes.
Okay, all right, that's what I would
Yeah.
have done.
Yeah, I just flipped his leg. Once I did those legs, I told you, once I did those legs, I was like, these are his legs now. There is no
We're-
other legs he uses. No, there is other legs he uses, but I like conveniently leave them mostly off screen when I have to draw him other legs.
It's like work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
I did consider asking Wazzy to animate his hair too, but
It does animate in one of them. You'll see his hair does animate.
oh, okay.
But if it's a bitch, and I don't want to talk about it right now.
It's a wiggly
I'm
boy.
sorry. Can you hear the lawnmower outside on my
No.
end? Okay, good. It's
No, not
very
really.
loud. I'm gonna close my window.
That's fair. Anyway, yeah, Raku fucked me on this. I did it. I was happy. I was moved on. I was 2 more songs ahead, and then he hit me with the, "Hey, this song is wrong."
I paid for it.
I know you did. I thought it was funny that you fucking didn't put the fucking song in the folder for me.
I will not make that mistake in the future.
Yes. All right, carry on.
If there even is a future.
Mm.
All right, let's move on to the next track. This next one is called Clairvoyant Maiden. All right, we'll pause it right there. That's a good end frame right before the scene changes.
That little smile Banani does at the end is very cute.
Because she's kitty.
She's Kibby!
Cat girls.
Pumpkin Kidby.
So this particular
Pumpkin
track,
Kiggy.
first off, on the musical side, I will say that this particular tempo and style, I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the name for that type of rhythm is, but I've never done a track that's structured that way. So this one was a really interesting experiment. Originally, and Wazzy probably remembers this, the first version of the track I gave her was faster. It was maybe about 20% faster ish. And so we were talking a little bit about the kind of feel, and I did have to revise this one, and I can't remember if we had already had the debacle with the last one by the time it came up, but I did change and re-record the song and then made sure she had that one. But it's kind of hard to tell the difference unless you listen to the two tracks side by side. The second updated version you see here, it starts a little bit sooner, but the tempo is slower. The first one kind of went like really rapid, and the whole idea for the song is the party has recovered Froggy. They got him away from the cultists, and they've gone back to a safe village somewhere where they're recuperating. And the character we see introduced here is the priestess, and she is a healer who's helping Froggy recover from his wounds. And this character we'll see later too, but this is the first time she shows up. And contrary to what you might think, she's not a Cyclops. She just has one eye hidden by her hair. It's part of her design.
She's got that emo hair swag.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
the peekaboo look with the locks covering one eye, which I thought was kind of cool. But the scene itself is pretty simple. Again, they're just sitting here trying to recover, and Froggy's getting healed, and we see Causticus running in the foreground or in the background too, and you see the priestess kind of moving in and out of frame and walking around, kind of building on the idea I mentioned before about the scenes being not static. All the scenes are pretty dynamic in what's going on. And I think it came together pretty well. So for the animation side, what you have, Wazzy?
Again, this one uses the little, like, again, I wrote it as like wee woos or something for the fountain. So that was the kind of musical cue. There is actually a full drawn fountain, but again, I didn't have the space for it when I was setting up the full scene. I was like, son of a bitch. So it's kind of off to the side, and I put some fucking marble statues in there. I don't know why Causticus is running around. I headcanon that he can't sit still again,
Yeah.
being the always on his feeties. And yeah, this one's just like kind of a simple one of Raku kind of telling the priestess what's going on and her trying her best to help Froggy, because like that's a good guy thing to do. So yeah, it's not a lot
She
to this
just
scene.
wants to help.
I hand drew all these rocks.
Insane. Don't know why you did that.
If you want to guess how many dinkies are in there, there's only 3.
Only 3.
Only 3.
Is that one that
So-
looks like an Among Us one of them? By Raku? To the right?
Yeah. No, that's not.
Yeah, dinky
That's not
spotted.
that's not a dinky, but that is close. You know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Did you reuse that rock tile set later?
I believe I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it looked familiar.
Yeah. Listen, I was very proud of it. That it took me longer than I anticipated it taking, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm using this again." But you never see that fountain again, even though I did the whole fucking fountain, and it does have an ornate thing on the top of it. But you never see it.
Did you share that art with Raku? Because he could have
I don't
included-
think I did, because I didn't even think about it until just this moment when I was
Oh,
looking at it.
no.
What
But
about
yeah.
the statues? Are the statues drawn fully too, or is it just for what we see?
I think that back one is the one that's holding like a deflated ball or some shit.
The disc?
Yeah,
I
the
thought it was
discus.
a boxing glove.
I have no idea. I was just going. I don't think so, but I know the fountain was, because the fountain was originally going to be in the center, and then I just couldn't make the scene perspective work how I wanted to. So, but the next one is a real fun video.
We got.
Whirling Phantoms is next. Phantoms.
Yep, I did see we have a hydrate from Bits in the chat. Drink your water.
Oh yeah.
Why the fuck am I getting a banner ad for a clown wig? Well,
Bits,
Bits,
you know why.
look into your heart and ask yourself.
Look at your little clown
you should
heart.
know.
You answer the fucking question.
Aces Redeem a Stretch reminder too.
Speaking of Bits being a clown, watch this next video, Bits. You might like where you are.
That's brutal, man. All right. Let's move on to the next track. I don't even know what number we're on, but this is Swirling Fathoms. All right, that was Swirling Fathoms. As you could probably guess from the name, this next one is kind of more of an overworld environmental theme type track where the party is underwater. To me, in the story, and Wazi can talk about whether or not this sort of falls in line with what you plan for the scene and the scenes coming up. But moving on after recovering Froggy, the party is venturing out on a quest to find some things. I like to think that the priestess, as kind of like a way for paying back what she did to help Froggy, sends the group out to take care of something that was maybe plaguing her village or whatnot, which results in the scene we're going to see after this. But to me, it kind of seems like they're beginning a quest line, and they're going out and they have to go through the ocean to find or confront something. And thanks to magic, I guess we'll figure out whose magic this is enabling here. We have 4 of the party members that we see on screen with Sagrius, Causticus, Ramo, and Ponk safely traversing the waves in bubbles. But Causticus, I think, is probably not the most thrilled to be in the water, hence his reaction to everything.
He'd be spinning.
Song-wise, this one's very similar in style to the very first one, Azure Tides being another water-themed set of melodies. So it's got a similar tempo, different instruments, though. The kind of whimsical plucked pizzicato strings or that kind of sharp noise you hear as the track goes on. And then we have a mix of strings, I think it is, and flutes. So really kind of melodic sound like you'd hear if you're sailing on the ocean or, like in this case, traveling beneath it. I do think Wazi's touches with the really subtle things in the environment key to the music are pretty neat here. So I'll let her talk about what she did for the scene and the animation.
Yeah, so the water slowly gets darker as we're getting deeper in. The fish always appear kind of on like the little whoop whoops. That's intentional. If you see a character moving through a scene, it's usually on a beat change or like a difference in like a different instrument being added and taken away throughout the song, because that's something I like to play with that Raku does a lot in his music. He'll have like it going and then he'll add an instrument for a while and then he'll take it away and then bring it back later and take it away. And so that's kind of like if you see something coming in and out of scene, it's usually playing off whatever instrument that is. And I couldn't tell you what fucking instrument. I can tell you the sound it's making, but This is one of the few times I changed Ramen's legs. You'll see that some extend longer this time. This is one of the few times that some of them are still the same. I think I just took 2 different layers of his legs and made them stick out more so it looks more like he's floating. And I like Cossacus, just the idea that Cossacus can't get his fucking bubble to float straight. So he's just kind of floating along, and I like to imagine Froggy's keeping all the bubbles up around them. And sometimes he tries to help Cossacus, but I just like the idea that he can't get his fucking bubble to go straight. This is bullshit. He's a bird. He's not supposed to be underwater.
A couple animation touches that you threw in that I like. When the schools of fish show up, I like how the first time they're behind the party, and the next time they're in front.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just to show that I'm more talented of an animator than just throwing it behind, like that I can't do just one thing.
She can put things in the foreground.
I can put things in places.
Also worth noting that this is the first time we see Froggy in his actual regular outfit for the story here. He's got kind of hard to describe the aesthetic look, but it keeps his prison uniform, and he's got like a little bandana around his neck. But his hat that Nanny was wearing, that's actually his hat that she was wearing while they were looking for him.
Yeah, if you look at, we'll talk about this more when we do the design work, but me and Poops we took the scarf and the hat that Banani was wearing in the previous couple songs, and we put them on Froggy. And if you look, he's still wearing his prison uniform. He just tied it around his waist.
Yeah, he didn't have no clothes, so she went, boy, let's get you dressed.
Yeah.
Let's get you accessorized.
So it kind of ties them together, and I think it's cute that it's like, here you go. But yeah, he still also has the fucking, the ball and chain, like the part that's attached to his foot, that's still there. And he's in his prison uniform. It's just tied around his waist.
I did see real quick in the chat, Bits was asking how you spell his name. You're talking about your character, Cossacus? I'll put it in the chat for you.
Okay.
I don't spell that. It's a lot of these guys got names I don't know how to spell.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't call a single goddamn one by their name while I was making these. If you look at the actual like behind the scenes animation, all the scenes that they're in, they are named by who they are. So it's like Bits is gonna be here, Ramen is here, Poops is here, Froggy's here, and that's. I just named them who they were because I could not remember their fucking names.
Well,
and we are but little guys.
We are but little guys.
You only had 2 projects to try and memorize the names of the same characters. But
I know.
That's okay. They are immortalized forever.
On the internet.
I also like the spiral insignias that start showing up on the rocks as the party descends into the darker areas. You see them glowing in the background. It was a really neat touch.
Yeah, it was a great touch. Very spooky.
All right. Shall we move on to the first official boss battle theme of the project?
Yeah.
All right. This next one is called Stranglehold. This is a fun one. Let's take a listen. All right. That was Stranglehold, the first boss battle theme of the project, and nothing bad happened whatsoever.
And nothing of value was lost.
Oh, that's not true.
Oh,
Your axe was lost.
oh, that's my best friend. No.
So this one was fun. Wazzy and I talked a bit about how to set up this theme when we were drafting out concepts for each of the scenes, and ultimately it was going to be the party is fighting some sort of large monster that is under the control of some sort of otherworldly force, hence the spirals on its head and eyes. Originally, and this is something that I thought Wazzy did a really good job of adapting, my initial thought when we were concepting everything out was that it was going to be like a giant squid, like an aquatic creature that the party is fighting, and then ultimately they kind of tame and free from whatever's controlling it. The design Wazzy came back with when we started actually getting the animation together was this kind of, it's like a seaweed dragon sea serpent type thing.
It's based on a leaf seahorse, which is a real creature. It's a seahorse that masks itself like leaves.
It's like the thing that, was it Dragalge or whatever the Pokemon is based on?
Dialga, yeah.
Yeah. So that I think is much more memorable and unique compared to what I originally envisioned. And then keeping the same perspective, like when the party fought the cultist in Blood and Blades, we see from over the shoulder of the party them fighting the enemy. So the enemy itself is kind of center stage and the party's in front. And the rest of the party that was not in the last one, with the exception of Ponk, is fighting this creature that they're out here to sort of stop. And we'll let Wazzy in a second talk about how it plays out in the scene itself. But for the theme, I again wanted to create a battle theme that was not just, you know, a mix of guitars or strings or anything like I've done on some other ones. So this one takes the same idea from Blood and Blades with the isolated tom run and makes it its own track, so it can kind of come in and out on its own. But it's a bit more aggressive with the use of like the organs and the choir synth, which again, it's just a different vibe for a boss battle. But I think it worked pretty well. It's kind of distinct and it doesn't sound too over the top, and kind of builds on some things we've heard so far. So that was a fun one to write. But yeah, it's a good scene overall. So for the animation stuff, what you got, Wazzy?
Again, I didn't want to do a squid. I don't know why. I just felt different. In this one, of course, Wazzy's bubble gets popped, and as you guys know, I cannot swim. So I float to the surface. I thought it was just more dynamic if a character got their bubble popped, just kind of to show the ramifications of what happens if your bubble gets popped. And I was like, well, I feel bad if I kill off another character. I do injure another character later, but I feel really bad about when I fuck up a character. So I was like, well, it might as well be me. And in the end here, we actually have Poop soothing it, and getting rid of the spirals. And I think that's because kind of like they are the summoner, so they're able to kind of like, I don't know, like summon the evil away and like help
I commune
creatures.
with him, and I'm like, stop.
Yeah, and you can't see it too well because YouTube's still rendering this video, and sometimes it makes it look awful. But a lot of those little like leaves that are hanging off of this worm are actually transparent. Like
So you can
they're
see
colored
through
transparent, and you can see through them slightly. Like in the actual animation, they look fucking like in the hard coded stuff, they look fucking stunning.
and they
Because
all
they're
move
see
too.
through. Yeah, and almost all of them move, which was a bitch and a half, which is why only his head moves when he attacks, because fuck that noise. But yeah, again, you get to see attacks by Banani this time, and by Pwoops, and by Ponk and Wazzle. So it was fun. So I really like this one. This was a fun song to work with, just because it was serene, but not like too serene, if that makes sense. It was a nice, like, it had a nice flow to it to kind of like make an attack too. So
Yeah,
but
it's an aggressive song, but it's not like overly forceful, which is
Yeah.
kind of why I wanted to play around with that idea for a battle theme instead of just being like, going 110%. It still sounds aggressive, but it's a different kind of flavor.
And alluding to the sand dragon we fought in the first one, again, I didn't want to end with us killing the monster because a second, you'll see later what happens with that. So, why not all the characters are on show? Because I don't have enough screen space.
Also,
Red Dragon,
like, classic RPGs. You have 4 people in a party. That's it.
Yeah. The party cycles. We'll see how that comes into play a little bit later, but yeah, largely it's like a 4-person party type of quote unquote game.
Yeah, but the characters are switching in and outable. It was just literally it's just give enough space, and I'll talk about this on a later scene based on some decisions I made there. But everybody has the same amount of screen time and the same amount of songs. So like if somebody shows up in just the background of one, they will show up in the background of another. And I definitely made sure everybody showed up in the same amount of songs, and there was near the end there was choices that had to be made to make that happen. So
Kakashi had said further up, Wazi is the character you use as fodder to heal up the other characters.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'd like to think that Froggy's introduction in the party was partly to serve as insurance for Wasley and everyone else, but primarily since she's like the glass cannon. You'll see as we kind of go along. Wazi's character, Wasley, can do a lot of damage, but she can't take hits.
No.
She didn't have a shield in the first one, right? It was just
we purposely gave her a shield because she died in the last one, and me and Poops talked about that when designing her.
She needed a shield to protect herself, at least a little bit.
At least a little, but it can't protect from drowning, okay?
Yeah, no, unfortunately.
So in the next one, she'll have a scuba tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
All right, next one.
Next one, let's check out Friendly Surf. Moving on in the progression. We're pretty close to halfway, I think. So let's check it out. All right. That was Friendly Surf. And I actually got a couple things to say about the musical process for this one. But this is a fun song. It's a fun scene. This was a really interesting one to kind of talk through with Wazi. On the music side, I will say that when it comes to certain styles of music, we have a hydrate from Iconic, and I think I saw it further up. I forgot to mention it, but Red Dragon redeemed like a whole mess of hydrates, so chug your water.
Damn.
And Ace has redeemed Swear Timer. I'm surprised it took this long for someone to redeem that here.
not like we're gonna be doing a whole lot of that.
Oh no, definitely not. 5 minutes.
Definitely
That
not.
applies
I've
to
never
everybody.
sworn in my life.
Everybody on
No,
stream.
no.
5 minutes.
None of us swear here. Not in this God-given Christian world and a
Oh no, not
Christian Minecraft server.
never.
Never.
So for the music on this one, again, there's some certain styles of music that I'm not really good at writing in that I try and get better at. We'll see another one a little bit later on. I'll talk about. But this is a bossa nova track, and I really like the musical style of bossa nova. It's really kind of like smooth and breezy, kind of tropical-ish sounding, but it is not easy to write for. And it's primarily, it kind of depends on the instruments, but that really distinct rhythm that you hear with like the clicks and the timing, that's like a bossa nova rhythm. And in writing this one, I knew we were gonna have like theme of party on the ocean again. This time it's the whole group instead of just one character, like sailing back or traveling back to a destination on the water. And we talked about the idea of the creature that Ponk helps tame is going to transport them back, and now it's like their friendly steed that's gonna shuttle them around on the water. And in putting together the track itself for Friendly Surf, this is also the first one that features an accordion. A bunch of folks in the chat caught on to the use of the strings and flutes and kind of the more whimsical instruments, but I have never included an accordion in anything I've written for. So it was kind of a little bit of like an older French pop styled melody with the accordion paired with a bossa nova rhythm. So that was a challenge to write, but I'm pleased with how it turned out because it's very different from what I've attempted so far. And what Wazzy did with the animation definitely fits the kind of more fun, whimsical mood of the track. So I'll pass it off to her to talk about how she planned everything out for this.
Yeah, this was the one that I sent the thing where it was like whoops on drums and then ramen on the wee woos and whatnot.
Yep.
This is what I was talking about. That was the notes for this song specifically. And again, the way Raku wrote it, it was fun to play around with the concept of the party coming up and down out of the water, riding this big noodle. Um, and like just fucking like playing around with the sound and the
There's the
characters at the
timer.
same time. Listen, I am not beholden to your rules.
Yeah, you are. On my channel, the swear timer applies to everybody who's participating in the stream,
That's so rude.
including the
What are you
chat,
gonna do?
which I've
What
never
are you gonna
mentioned
do to
before.
stop us?
You know what, Raku? Fuck you.
What you gonna do to fucking stop us?
Yeah, you're gonna fucking stop us? How are you gonna fucking stop us? Reset the fucking timer, Raku. How about you? No, Raku. Wait, you just reset that? How about you fucking reset it again?
I'm just gonna send you a bill. Every time I have to reset it, then my co-hosts get charged.
I died. Are you not?
Yeah,
not
she's
see
already
me dead back
died.
there?
You're fine.
Um,
you're just
but again,
napping.
I had a lot of I lied. This is the third set of ramen leggies, but they don't
Oh
move,
yes,
so that's why.
I love these legs. I was thinking that
Yeah.
to myself. I love them. They're so silly.
Yeah, and so it was just kind of fun animating everybody while riding their noodle dragon. And then I couldn't not have me dead on the tail, just like totally limp at the back. I thought it was funny.
It's so funny.
And yeah,
Honestly.
whoops on the head, because they tamed the dragon, so the dragon, of course, is going to make sure they're the most one out of the water.
Yay.
We never gave a name to the seaweed dragon.
I did not know.
He looks like a Sour Patch Kid.
He does. He was.
So maybe Cabbage.
You should call him
Ooh,
Nordy.
cabbage. But his coloring is very fun on him as well.
I do.
So.
I love his coloring.
I enjoyed him. He's one of the ones. Most of the monsters here, with the exception of 2, I fully designed them. So he was a fun design, and I enjoy him.
We should put him on a shirt.
We should. We should. I've got lots of art of him while I was designing him. So,
Hmm.
all right.
Very good. Yeah, this was a fun one. All right. Next up, we have.
I should thank Raku for making this one because this was a fun one to animate. So,
Oh,
because the
thanks.
music was fun, it was fun to animate.
This was one of the toughest ones to write, but after scrapping like 3 versions of it and trying to learn and figure stuff out, I'm happy with the end result. And I think it probably gave you the most to work with as far as creating like a fun scene. So everybody wins.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Unsealing the Ancients. Let's have a listen. All right. That one seems a little bit shorter than the others.
It was, which is why it only had 3 characters in it.
Yeah, I had to actually be careful because I thought it was going to go on longer. This one, this is kind of more of a simple song and scene. I feel like this is kind of a setup transition to the next sort of phase of where the party's going. Song wise, I wanted to come up with something that would be kind of again like a environmental setup type thing. So with the party, they're sneaking through some sort of encampment from the cult, trying to get by them to wherever it is they're going. And in the background, we see the cultists themselves conspiring to do something. We have a couple of them. There's, I think, at least 3. One of them leaves the scene, but they're talking and or communicating with someone via that spiral orb on the table. But in the meantime, the party's trying to sneak by them as they move on to their next goal and destination. But I do like that we're getting a glimpse into other members of the cult and seeing the different outfits and what they look like. It's kind of a good detail, but yeah, not too much on the musical side. It's a bit more of a kind of ominous song, and kind of sets the mood. It's a mood setter song more than anything else. But on the animation side, do you have anything to add, Wazzy? Oh,
This is
hey, timer's
again a
done.
very yay.
Yay.
Um, Again, a very basic scene. I played with the little orb on the table for the music in this one, but other than that, I didn't have time to put the whole 4 party in. Um, the reason Raku's looks a little awkward in the beginning is because originally I was just gonna have everybody walking, and then I was like, no, they should be kind of half sneaking. But then I was like, Raku's old, so he's just gonna like he's half-hearted. Froggy's the only one giving it his all, and like Banani is the rogue, so like Banani doesn't give a shit. Like she knows what she's doing. She's perfectly fine. That and the cultists are all wearing masks without eye holes. I don't think there's like that. They need to sneak that hard.
No, I guess not. I thought maybe they just rolled a nat 1 and everybody was
No,
fine.
but they don't have eye holes. And like it wasn't until around this scene where I was trying them and I was like, wait, how do they see? And I was just like, you know what? They're just not gonna see anything that's happening
I
right
see
now.
with
I
their
guess
minds.
I guess those little black lines could be like holes. So it's like
Yeah.
they have like piss poor shit sight.
Yeah, they can only see like 2 feet in front of them. I don't know.
I do like how we see some variation in their outfits too, like the different types of robes or armor outfits, and the different
Yeah, there's
skin tones too. It's also a neat
yeah,
touch just
yeah,
to
there's
have.
diversity in the cult, you know. I
Maybe a
realize
cult,
there's
but they let in anybody, I guess.
It's
yeah,
the DEI
there's got
cult.
yeah. There I have them in 2 categories. I have the attackers, which are the ones in pants, and then I have the mages, which are the one in robes. And that's
Kaiser
kind
Man
of how I
says
separated them.
that's why the guy has the paper so close to his face. I like to think he's looking out from under the mask at the paper.
Yeah, you can't fucking read it, so it's fine.
He has to peek downwards.
Hey Ted, how come we gotta wear these masks all the time? I don't know,
Yes.
Steve. Boss's orders.
Yeah, who designed this?
They're not the most practical cult, but they're very
No.
devoted.
They do what they're told, and they do it well. Question mark?
I like to think the masks can be used as a bladed throwing projectile, like a shuriken too. They can just take them off and then whip them at you like a frisbee. Once they can actually see where they're throwing them.
Ow. Thunk.
Hey boss, why do we look like green mole creatures? Yeah, ask the leader. All right. Next up, we're ready for the next one. Frozen Crystal Caves.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a listen. All right, we'll leave that. Actually, this is a really good scene to pause on. So that was Frozen Crystal Caves, and I talked a little bit about this with the artist team, but this track here is my favorite from the album. It wasn't the first one I wrote. In fact, this one was probably towards the end, a little bit later. But thinking about an ice type environment, which we hadn't seen in any of the projects so far, the idea that the party was going through like a frozen ice cave type environment was the idea for writing the song. I wanted to have kind of like a bit more of an upbeat, almost like a rapid rhythm. And I played around with some combinations of synths, like my favorite from my synthesizer, number 329. You hear that in the bass line. And to me, I just like the way everything comes together, the melodies on this one. It's not the most complicated, but it just has a nice energy to it. And then handing it over to Wazi for the actual animation was fun. I did not know what she was going to do with this one before she put it all together, but it's a really kind of nice, heartwarming, fun scene with some references like folks in the chat were talking about, and Wazi called it out, and I'll mention it here. If you can see my cursor, we have the lemon slime in the back, currently frozen in the ice for whatever reasons. The lemon slime was inspired by Sour Lad, one of our mods, the hardest working mods in show business.
And he was in the first one too.
He was in the first one, yep. And in the back also, we have this red horse creature, which Wazi had taken some designs that I used. That you saw a frozen monster in the beginning. That kind of blue one was one of mine. But this one I asked her about, and she said this red horse creature was inspired by another one of the mods for the community, for the crew, Vira. And I don't know too much about where that comes from. So Wazi, when you talk about the scene, if you want to explain like where the ideas came from, so everyone knows, that I think that'd be interesting.
Well, it's kind of like a little like while I was working on this, me and Poops were talking about like that horse that eats that baby chick. And so my brain was kind of like, horse is scary at the point in time. So I was like, oh, I'll just draw a monster horse. And then I didn't know what kind of color basis to go off of with it. So I just kind of took the idea I had like with Rira's worm and just kind of took those colors and then made the horse Rira's colors to kind of bring him in on that. But yeah, it was basically horses are scary.
Did
Are
you
scary.
fully render that horse out?
Yes, that horse is fully rendered. I showed it in my pre-stream.
Okay.
But the horse is fully done. I guess I can throw that in the chat at you. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about any of my behind the scenes shit before this. But yeah, the first monster I did not design. That was one of Raku's designs, and these two were my designs. These two monsters here.
Yeah, I like the idea that, again, background elements for folks who might have tuned in after we kicked off the stream. There's a lot of detail in a bunch of these scenes that's in the background. So if you just pay attention to what's going on there, in addition to the characters in the foreground, you'll see little things here or there, which is kind of fun. It warrants multiple viewings.
Yeah, so for this one, because we had 3 in the first one, and of course Raku has his own solo one, just because of the way the balancing worked. This, just because of how serene this was when I was first writing out my ideas for how the storyline was going to go, I wrote this one was going to have a romantic interlude in it, kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay. And of course, the idea was originally for Froggy and Banani to have the romantic interlude. But based on other people in other songs, I couldn't fit Banani and Froggy in this because they were already in too many scenes. And I needed them in other certain scenes. And so I was like, well, fuckity wuckity. And then I was like, well, Matt won't mind if I imply that we're together. So that's what I did here. And also one of my favorite parts of this scene, which you can't see because it's behind my fat head, but you can kind of see it, especially on Cossacus, is the reflection in the ice. You can actually see the characters' reflections as they're skating.
Oh, yeah. Did you do that just by mirroring the image and changing its transparency in Flash?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, why not, right? That's how you do it.
Cheapest, easiest animation I've ever done, and it looks so fucking good. I just mirrored it, cranked the opacity, tinted it slightly blue, and left it at that.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple but nice effect. I also like the layering on the background too. It's not just one static layer, right? I think it's at least 2 or 3 with the different sheets of ice.
It's 3 different layers, but that third, it's technically 4 because that back, the back dark blue, that's one layer, and then the front layer before is the stalactites and the stalagmites, and those are on the same layer, but they do move at slightly different rates. And then it's like the teal one is in between, and then the front one with all the monsters.
Yeah, it creates a really good effect. Again, more dynamic and not static. And I think the ultimate effect on the viewer is that you could see just more stuff going on as it's going. Oh, yeah, there we go.
It's just a nice little thing.
That's a cool design for the horse. Very nice. All right, shall we move on to the next track?
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Mystic Spring. Let's have a listen. All right, nothing foreboding happening here. That was Mystic Spring. This is another sort of transitional setup song, so not a lot happens in the scene, but I do like the mood of this one.
Yeah, it's really nice and twinkly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thinking back to when Waz and I were originally mapping out ideas for this one. Originally, I had a different version of this song. I think I'm trying to remember back to the conversation, but I think the one I had used initially, Wazzy had told me that she could hear feedback on it. One of the tracks, I think it was this one. There's a little bit of
Yeah, it
distortion
was
on
this
it.
one.
Yeah, and I didn't have the ability to just go back and re-record it and take that out. So instead, I just redid the whole song. Oh, we have a hydrate and a stretch from Ace and Iconic, respectively.
And then done.
And so going back, I wanted to change a little bit with the song anyway. So again, I redid it from the ground up. And the main inspiration for this one, thinking back, is the Hylian fountain theme from Zelda. When you go to like the fairy spring and you get healed. It's not like a one for one, but a lot of the instrumentation and sort of style is what I drew upon for writing this version that we hear for Mystic Spring. And so you hear kind of a lot of soft melodic instruments. There's a bit of a sharper synth line that comes in towards the middle that Wazzy keyed to the activity of the black cube, which was a neat effect. I'm sure she'll talk about. But again, it's pretty calm, mellowish type song. And the idea for the scene would be like the party has gone through the caves to seek out some sort of object, and they reached the main room where all of the treasure and said object is located, but there's this big, large bug creature that was frozen in the ice behind. And we'll find out what happens with that in a sec. But again, kind of a good setup, fairly simple, but it's a good mood, I think. So I'll hand it off to Wazzy for the animation comments.
So yeah, again with the twinklies, I put on I don't know what fucking instrument that is. I put them on the cube. The cube is kind of like our main like focus point for this one. Keep an eye on Ramen and this gem because that might show up again. I really wanted everybody having like just like a little moment to rest, and I was like, you know what Poops would do? Play with money. And I was like, you know what Ramen would do? Find the biggest, shiniest thing there and take it. Again, Ramen has the same legs he always has in this one. I just added an extra little leggy in this to hold his big gem.
His new prize.
Yeah. And again, the bug design again completely me. I don't know why I chose a bug. I just fucking was like,
why not?
I think I wanted something with a big ol' ass because I definitely remember drawing the ass part first. And
that's so you.
Makes sense.
I know.
Makes sense.
I know. And it just kind of evolved into this. And I've also now noticed looking at this, a lot of the enemies I have made for this project specifically are green. So that's kind of weird of me, but okay.
Kydraman says got a pine cone looking dumpy. I think it's supposed to be like an egg sack, right?
Yeah, but my original idea was to have it like bust open and have a bunch of little guys crawl out of it. But then I was like, that is a lot of work.
You don't want to do that.
And I was already looking at Ramen's legs and I went, nah.
No.
No, thank you.
I think the next scene makes up for it
though. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Well,
but yeah, again, I really had fun with the background of this. I think the background is like the part I'm most proud of because it is just so fucking pretty and it looks like ice, and I'm very proud of that.
You did such a good job.
Yeah, and this is a different set of background assets from the previous one with Frozen Crystal Caves, right?
It is. It's the same color scheme on the front crystals, but other than that, it is a completely different set of them.
Yeah, that's impressive. If that was me, I would have just reused it and like maybe cropped it or changed the perspective since this scene doesn't move and that last one did. But the fact that you redid all of it and then frame the entire scene. It looks really good. That'd make a really good background.
I genuinely love this background. I love it so much.
It's a good thing we'll never see it again after this scene,
And
unfortunately.
we'll never see it again.
But it looks good. All right. Shall we move on to Mischief and Malice, the next track?
Yeah.
What's going to happen in the party? Will the giant creature come out and give them all hugs? Let's find out. All right. More foreboding. Let's get a little bit cleaner frame there. All right. Mischief and Malice. So this one, kind of a battle theme, or at least like an encounter theme, since there's no actual fight. This is the party running away from the large mantis creature that was freed from the ice. We see them running out of the caves, booking it as fast as they can, and making their way all the way out before they see an airship on the horizon, which hopefully is their way out. As far as the musical side, this is actually a theme that got cut from last year's RPG project. It was one I liked. I just couldn't find a place to fit it into the track progression we had, so I shelved it for a future project. And we managed to find a good place for it here, since again it sounds like a kind of like a chase, like a higher paced, high tempo theme of danger, as it were, and uses a bit of guitars and kind of a more driving beat. It's a fun track. And Wazi did some really interesting stuff, both with the scene and scene transitions and how it sort of segues into the next part of the story. Red Dragon asks, who freed the mantis creature? I like to think once they disturbed the cube is what caused it to unfreeze. You see, Matt has the cube in his hand there. Everyone has some sort of spoils that they're running with except Bits' character. You can see Plop's actively losing all of the gold coins from their pockets.
My doubloons!
Your money!
No, my doubloons!
Meanwhile, Ramen's character has a death grip on that diamond. The diamond's not going anywhere. I did see Iconic mentioned further up. This reminds me of the Ghost Train boss you can suplex. Yeah, from FF6. The scene definitely invokes a lot of that. The song itself wasn't really designed that way, but the feel of the song with something chasing the party, I could definitely see that being kind of like a close tie-in. Wazi, I'm going to assume you haven't played FF6, but maybe you've seen someone play it.
I know of FF6. I am aware.
Right.
She's aware.
there's a part that Iconic's talking about where there's a boss, you're fighting a ghost train.
Yeah, and the guy can suplex it and end it instantly.
Right. Well, the thing is, like, the actual encounter isn't the party just facing off against the train. They're on the tracks and it's chasing them.
Yeah, and it's chasing you and you fight it, but
Yeah.
if the one guy suplexes it, it takes it off the rail and they don't have to be traced anymore because he suplexes it off the rails.
Team player.
It's fun. But yeah, interesting energy, fun track. For the animation, Wazzy, take it away.
Again, I fucked myself on this one because I drew a really cool monster, and then I realized he was in the wrong perspective to chase them. If I wanted to, like, I could have done front facing everybody running away from him as running forward, but then I'd have to animate 4 people running forward, and I really needed to put the airship in for plot reasons. So I was like, well, I guess I have to draw this fucking monster from the side. So that's how that turned out. And then this was just I added Ramen was not letting go of that gem, and Matt now had the cube, and I was like, well, I gotta have something with whoops, and so I had them losing their money as they were running. And
No, my
again,
hard-earned doubloons
and again,
on
I
this
just used the
board.
same background for the skating because, of course, they're going back through the same tunnel. And then they jump to kind of get away from it, and that's when this airship kind of comes up. And I'm really proud of that airship. I took a lot of inspiration from Final Fantasy IX drawing it.
It's a good airship.
It's a pretty good airship. But again, Sour Lad shows up because now he defrosted too. My kind of idea was as they took the cube, everything started defrosting. So now there's more than just one monster after them, kind of thing.
Now the best boy, Sour Lad, he's out. He's out and
He's
loose
out.
in the
He's
world.
free.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one again was just it was running. It was moving backgrounds. It was a fun little one to kind of do.
Let us know in chat if you want to see a spin-off project featuring the adventures of Lemon Slime as the main character.
Sour Slime.
Sour Slime.
Yeah. It's a fun track. Shall we see where
Yeah,
the party...
it was a fun.
Go ahead, good.
It's fun. It's a fun poppy song to kind of animate too, so it was kind of fun to do a little chase scene with it.
I think when I originally wrote that theme, then tried to fit it into last year's release, it was going to be like, it was either going to be the theme of like a thief group or like the theme of the enemy party, you know, like the opponent party that you fight throughout the game. It was going to be used for something like that. It just never found a place. But I'm glad we could repurpose it for something here and do something fun with it. All right. Next up, Zephyr Fortress. What's going to happen to our team of plucky heroes? Surely nothing bad. Let's find out. Almost fell asleep at the wheel there. All right, let's back it up a little bit here. So that was Zephyr Fortress. And as we'll kind of see later on, things are taking a bit of a turn for the party. Story-wise, and Wazzy can chime in when she's talking about the animation, if this is kind of what she was thinking. But in my mind, as the party's trying to escape from the caves and get away from the monsters that are chasing them, they see the airship in the distance and they don't know who it's from, like whose airship it is, but it's nearby and looks like it's there to save them. So they jump onto the airship from wherever it is they're trying to escape, only to find out it's the cultist airship, and they land right in the middle of the cultist, and then boom, they're captured. So my idea is they didn't know what to expect. They land on the ship and immediately got taken captive by the cultists, but they're not being chased by monsters anymore. And so the theme itself is kind of what you see here on the ship as they're all taken prisoner. We've got 3 of them here. We see Froggy getting escorted at knife point, and we'll see how that plays out. Theme wise, and I know I've talked about this a couple times to the point where I'm sure everyone on the call is tired of me mentioning it, but this theme for Zephyr Fortress was inspired by a theme from Lufia 2. There's a specific level that I really like in that game towards the end, where you're in like this kind of sky tower dungeon, and you're running around doing whatever it is, but the theme is got this kind of like soaring, driving tempo to it, and these really, really cool combinations of orchestral instruments. So that was the inspiration for this one. It doesn't sound similar, but the style is kind of inspired by that. And I figured it'd make a good either like flying castle or airship type theme. And Wazzy purposed that into what we see here in the scene pretty well. So I'll let her talk about kind of the ideas for how the setup looks here with the characters.
Yeah. So I saw Fwoops mention it, and I am going to say it. The reason why Raku has no gag, and Froggy has no gag, and me and Banani have no gags, is because me and Banani do not shut up.
You guys do have gags.
If you've ever been in a room with both me and Banani, you will not be able to say a word. We just do not shut up. So it's like, it makes sense that me and Banani would be gagged.
You're professional yappers.
We are. We're really good at it. So I feel like if Raku was kidnapped, he would just silently sit there and be like, all right, this is fine. But me and Banani would not shut up about being kidnapped. So that's kind of how that happened.
Having met Wazzy in person in the real world, I can confirm she does talk a lot. But
yeah,
I imagine if the two of you are together, it would be more so. I've never met Banani in real life.
Matt and Froggy can verify that me and Banani do not shut up. Especially if we're together and you get us on a topic of something we both like. Oh, you are fucked. It is just going to be high-pitched and hell for you.
To be fair, when Matt and I are in the same room talking about something, especially something that Wazzy has no knowledge of or any history with, I could see like her soul leave her body whenever Matt and I are talking.
A little nap.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I can
one time you guys were, speaking of Lufia 2, one time you guys were talking about Lufia 2, and I had a little nap.
We were on a call, all, having a good old time talking about stuff and reminiscing about the good old days, and then Wazzy gets really quiet for like 10 minutes. I can't remember if you were on that one, Pups. You might have been, but Wazzy got real quiet all of a sudden, and I said, did Wazzy leave the call? She looks like she's still logged in. And Matt's like, oh no, she fell asleep. I was like, man, yeah, that's rude.
Laying on the floor of my office.
Sorry we weren't engaging enough.
Sorry, they were talking about boring shit you don't care about.
Listen, this is going to sound stupid toddler of me, but Matt reads me bedtime stories, so I'm used to going to sleep to the same, tone. So, when there's 2 of them matching the same tone, that's just double sleepy times for me.
Same as it ever was, right, chat?
Shut up. But yeah, with this one, again, very simple animation. But I had a lot of fun with it. It's just a nice little airship is moving slightly, and everybody's just being carted away to a mysterious place. So yeah, I thought it was fun.
Can you folks find the hidden dinky in this scene?
Yeah, there's a hidden dinky in this one. Not so hidden dinky.
It's very subtle.
My first thought when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, Dinky spotted."
I didn't when I originally drew it. I was like, "Yeah, that's how you put ropes up." And then I was staring at it, and I was like, "Oh, that's a penis." And I was like, "Well, there's hidden penises all through this work, and that's just how it's gonna be."
Don't ban me, Twitch here. I'll put my cursor over it. Now you can't tell.
Yeah, I think that makes it worse. It looks like it's
Oh
flirting
no.
now.
Perfect. It wouldn't be a Toxicure product if there weren't wieners featured
Don't
somewhere.
commission me. You'll just get penises.
You get what you pay for.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, this scene is fairly simple, but it's again kind of set up for the next one. So let us move on to. I got some words on this next one as well. Waltz of Wealth is the next track. Let's have a listen. All right, we have our first plot twist of the story. So that was Waltz of Wealth, and this is a fun scene, and the song itself was also interesting to work through. Folks who've been tuning into my jam streams where we brainstorm a lot of ideas that go into the music and stuff that I make for these projects. You folks have heard me complain numerous times about how I really suck at writing waltzes. It's a style and genre of music that I'm terrible at. Something about a 3/4 time signature just does not click with my brain. And so throughout the years I've been doing this now, I've tried over and over again to create a waltz type theme, and none of them have worked. They've all been terrible, and you'll never hear them. But for this project, when we started working on SOTS, I said, I'm going to figure out a way to do it. I want to put a waltz track in here. It's going to be tied to the antagonist group somehow, like an evil waltz, right? So it ran through a couple different versions of the song, and ultimately this one for Waltz of Wealth did turn out decently well. I like the combination of the harpsichord instruments, the kind of plucked pizzicato strings you hear. It's very kind of evil and aggressive, but boy, this was probably the toughest one to write out of all of them in the entire album, because again, I will get better at it, and you may see other waltz type things in the future, but man, it was not easy. But I think Wazzy took that idea and tied it into a real fun scene, just to kind of list off some things I like, because the scene itself is not terribly complicated. It's got a lot going on, but the idea of the party being dragged through the corridors of the cult headquarters while all of the cult members are kind of just on the sidelines, jeering them and whatnot. It's simple, but it's very effective. And I really like what Wazzy did with the shadow silhouettes of the crowd in the background, in addition to the animations of all the cult members in the foreground. It's a very good mood, and although it's not simple, I'm sure putting it all together, she can talk about how that worked, but it's very effective. The end result, it's very effective, I think. And then we get the dramatic reveal of the priestess being the one behind the cult. I don't know how many people called it, but I thought that was a good twist early on that we kind of developed, and we'll see how that sort of pans out. But for the animation side, Wazzy, take it away.
Again, this was a bitch because I hate crowd scenes. So I tried my best. There is, of course, 4 layers of crowd. There's the backest most, and then there's the mid, and then the second mid, and then there's the foreground where it's actually many different characters. And I hated it, especially because they also had to move. So this was a bitch. This one took like the longest. Out of all the videos, this one took the fucking longest to render just because of that fucking crowd. And for this one, how it worked out, why I'm being dragged, is because I had already done everybody else's walking animation. And so by the time I got to me, I was like, I don't want to animate walking.
We had
And
a
so
square
I just-
timer redeem. And real quick, I see a first time chat from Valiant912 saying
Oh, hey,
hello.
Valiant!
Is that one of the crew?
Yeah, that's one of the crew.
Hey,
cool.
welcome to the stream,
They're fine by
Valiant.
me.
Go ahead,
But
sorry.
yeah, it was by that point in time I had done enough walking cycles and I was mad and I knew what I had coming up on the next scene and I just wanted to get to it. So I decided I would just sit and be dragged. Also, I did see it called in chat, but I'm so glad that it was mentioned. Ramen's arms are just tied together.
That is a neat
Raku.
touch. Yeah, I saw
If you
that.
go
Yeah.
back a couple scenes, Ramen's arms are just tied together because I was like, how do you tie up a noodle? And then I was like, why wouldn't you just wrap him up with his own appendages?
Honestly, I think it's funny how everybody's wrapped up differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's 2 arms are tied. For some reason, Poops has only like one rope on one arm.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
don't-
what's with that? Why am I not tied up?
That's my
I
summoning
don't-
arm.
To be honest, I don't have a reason for that. I was just like, yep, that's fine. And then Froggy's tied behind the back, Banana's still just tied up the same with the ropes, and Raku's tied in front. And Pitts is also tied in front, but with less ropes. And yeah, my favorite one was Ramen because it was just like I would just tie the noodle up with his own arms. Like it makes the most sense to me.
Can I say I love how I know you were complaining about how annoying the background was, but I think the way you had the cultists gyrating in the back was very fun.
Thank you.
I like
It is.
the throw your hands in the air pose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how it,
They're
kind
like,
of, it bobs up and down every once in a while. It's very funny.
I wanted to.
Yeah.
I wanted them to look alive and like they're excited that these guys are being pulled.
Fuck these guys.
Yeah,
They're tied
so-
up. Yay.
Yeah, it's a fun scene. I do like complaining about everything, but I am proud of what I've done.
Hold
Good
on.
job.
I gotta reset the timer.
I didn't swear. Shut up.
Yeah. This next one, however,
Oh, yeah.
next one I will complain about.
The next one's a big one. So let's waste no time and check out Struggling Will. I know Wazzy's got a lot of thoughts on this one, but it's a good one. So buckle your seatbelts. All right, lot to process in that scene. This is another example, since I mentioned it earlier on, that even though the tracks are shorter for the video here, there is so much more in each individual track. This one could have benefited, I think, from being a little longer, but then Wazi would have had to do more, and she did so much for this one, it's crazy. But I'll let her talk about that in a sec for the animation, and I'm sure she's got a lot to say. But for the song itself, this is another battle theme. This is more of like an actual fight theme. If this was a game versus an actual, movie of sorts that we're watching, it'd be like the party fighting waves of enemies, and you would hear that theme playing in the background. Struggling Will was also part of last year's project, and like Mischief and Malice, I cut it because I couldn't find a place for it, so we repurposed it into this one. It's a very kind of aggressive, combat-oriented song that you'd hear in some sort of fight, either a boss fight or like a multi-stage fight. So you have like kind of a rock rhythm, a lot of guitar, and there's even a double time breakdown where the beat speeds up in the middle. Kind of a lot going on, and I knew Wazoo would be able to adapt this into something based on what we had written in the story. So I'll let her take it away, since again, this is probably the second most complex scene in the entire series.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go for it.
So yeah, I asked Raku if I could have the budget to do this one. This one is again all about fun transitions, because I don't know if you guys kind of picked up on how fun the transitions are in this one, but I think it's really good going from one character to the next. How it just kind of fits in with everybody's character, and it just kind of it's fun, and
It's really cool.
I had
Yeah.
a lot of fun
You
with
did a
it.
Great job.
Again, everybody has the same amount of frames. So I had to. That's why some look a little awkward, is because I had their motions planned in my head, and then it wasn't enough frames. So I had to either extend or subtract depending on what was in my head, because I wanted to keep it equal for everybody. But this was a heavy animation load. But I had a lot of fun with this. This is the first time I actually have shown blood, and I didn't okay that with Raku first. I just kind of was like, I'm gonna have Banani stab this guy, and then the blood is gonna be their transition. And then I was like, oh, what if he? Yeah, whatever. Fuck it. I'll just send it, and he can decide. And so that's kind of what I did. So it's kind of nice to show everybody showcasing this, because I know mine looks dirty. That wasn't the intent. I just wanted to show me getting beat with down a little, and then throwing my axe in the direction of Ramen. It did. Some parts don't look as cool as I had envisioned in my head, but I think altogether it looks pretty dope. And again, I was really focusing on the transitions of this one. And my favorite scene is Ramen's, just because of him choking that guy, and then just casually with one of his legs bringing up a drum to just fucking play with. So yeah, my idea with the story of this one is just all hell breaks loose and everybody just starts punching people.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's really fun because you get all these different dynamic perspectives, and it centers on each character in like a different way and showing off what they're doing and how they fight. I did want to ask, let me see if I can jump here without going into the next scene. Is there a reason why my character looks so tired and exhausted?
You look
Yeah,
so
you
beaten
look
up.
exhausted. There's two reasons. One, you are the last character to be shown. So obviously the fighting has been going on this entire time. And if you carefully watch the last scene, you will see your crystal start to change color, because my idea is you have been using this crystal for your geomancy, and you are running out of power, and you can't battle as long as you would like, because all of this cool geomancy power is coming from the shard of the crystal that you originally had in your chest in season 1.
Okay, that makes sense. We'll see that continued in the next scene. I was just curious.
Yeah, if you watch this last scene play out, you'll see the crystal actually darken in power, because you're powering down, man. You're Tony Stark in it. You can't geomance forever. Also, you're not as young as you once was.
Canonically, this character's not supposed to be old,
I know, but he did go through some shit.
Yes.
Like he did get his ass beat, and he is now, in my head canon at least, he is now like, I wouldn't say dying and out of time, but I would say he is unwell because of what happened with the whole season 1 Crystal debacle.
That makes sense.
Because, which is why he doesn't look like he used to. He did transform, he did change. So it is a lot on a human body when you physically transform.
That does check out.
Yeah. Method to my madness.
Red Dragon says, looked like he was going to the toilet. I mentioned that when Wazzy sent this image
Yeah,
to me.
it's literally just like the old man like hand. I've seen Matt do this, where like old man hand on the thighs as they're bending over. They're like, oh jeez, oh Christ Almighty. Like that's kind of like the pose I was going for.
Doesn't get any better as you get older.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
there's no shame in pooping in battle, Kydra.
Yeah, there is actually.
There's no shame in pooping your pants a little in battle.
Sure. I didn't have anything smart to say to that. We don't know if Roctus here has pooped his pants. We will say
That's a secret.
yeah, that's for me to know and no one else. All right.
Mystery.
So we gotten through the fight. Supposedly, let's check out the path ahead. We're getting towards the end of the album. We've got 4 tracks left. We've established that the antagonistic force that the characters have been fighting against was controlled by the priestess. So what's going to happen now? Let's find out on the next episode of Songs of the Spiral. Path ahead. All right. That was the path ahead. This one's a bit more simple, and this is kind of like a transitional mood setting song. For the theme itself, this one didn't get assigned to this spot in the release until towards the end. It was meant to be kind of like the calm before the storm, a little bit more foreboding. Originally, I had the idea of using it for like a destroyed town type of setting, but we didn't have that for the story we mapped out here. So to me, it's a little more kind of dark and ominous than I think I would have liked if I had more other choices for the song. But the idea that it's a lower energy kind of like party recovering before the actual final battle, it worked pretty well for that. So Wazzy kind of established the scene of, having gotten away from the enemy, the party is regrouping, recovering, and then from here, they're getting ready for the final confrontation with Priestess and the cult. And so we just kind of see everyone in their state of resting and trying to relax for the upcoming fight. and I'll let Wazzy sort of talk about some of the elements she threw in here, because again, it's simple, but there's kind of a lot to look at if you watch the scene. So go ahead, Wazzy.
Yeah, again, very simple. Banani just chilling out in a tree because she's a cat. So,
Yeah.
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 Froggy sleeping under it because I was too lazy to animate a new Froggy, so I just took the one where he was hurt and propped him up a bit more, and then just made him sleepy instead.
He's sleepy.
In this one, Raku looks very haggard because, again, the last fight really wore on him. If you look at his chest, the crystal is significantly darker. He looks a lot more worn out. So it's me and Poops kind of watching over him and sitting on a log.
Oh, I thought we were annoying him.
Oh, we could be. We're very good at that.
Yeah, I
Matt's
see Red
trying.
Dragon noticed the crystal's not gone; it's just turned completely dark.
Yeah, and Matt's trying to meditate, and Kazakus is very much annoying him by just standing there freaking out in the corner. And Ramen is patrolling because Ramen doesn't like to sit still, and I animated all those freaking legs, and goddamn, he's gonna use them.
Ramen.
Yep. So, this one I specifically like because this one I actually played with light. If you see, everybody's darker because the light is coming off the fire. So this was kind of a fun one just for that. I got to play a little bit with the light, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, again, a very simple one. The next two are very simple because they're kind of the music sets the scene, and so it was just kind of like something foreboding is coming, but it's not here yet, so we've got a minute to breathe. But again, I really like this one.
The calm before the storm.
Yeah. So yeah, not a lot with this one, and again, one of the other reasons Ramen is the one that's moving is because I was like, oh, I should have somebody patrolling, and then I was like, well, obviously it's got to be Ramen because he's using them legs.
He's got all those legs. You might as well use them.
Yeah, you might as well use them. So yeah.
You're too late, Red Dragon. The timer was done. Nice try.
Ha ha! I beat it.
You can actually. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on my stream before. You folks can swear in the chat. Just don't go like too crazy with it. I don't have any rules against using swear words in my chat. Just don't use anything that's gonna get me banned, and don't use it.
A dickhead.
Yeah, don't be a jerk against each other more than anything else. Ooh, gotta hydrate from Kydra Man.
Oh man, I'm so hydrated. My Gatorade's gone. My water. Wait, guess my Gatorade isn't done. 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm drinking Gatorade out of a cup.
You should put a timer on that. Well, why would you drink Gatorade out of a cup? That is objectively the wrong way to use Gatorade.
That's a lot of hydrates from Red Dragon.
What's wrong with you? You're supposed to sip it out of the spoon like a normal human. What do you mean you're drinking it out of a cup? That's not how Gatorade is consumed. You have the nozzle so you can spray it directly in your mouth after sport. Have you never seen a Gatorade commercial?
Yeah, I know, but you gotta like clean the nozzle, and I was lazy, and I said, you know what, I'll just grab a cup.
I don't like this.
That's
Up in
too
Canada,
bad.
do they call it Gatorade?
Kitty! Ah! She stepped in my Gatorade! What are you doing?
Well, this is what happens when you don't have a spoon on your Gatorade! You asked for this! You were like, I'm just gonna let my Gatorade be out in the open like a loser! I'm just gonna like let my Gatorade be out in a nude in the air and not spoon it!
Oh, there went my joke.
What?
I heard it, but Poops had an emergency and I had to goon them for it.
What? I didn't hear it. I'm too busy screaming.
I said up in Canada, they call it Gatorade.
Shut up.
I think we should ban Raku.
Yeah, I think we should. Now.
You can't ban me. I quit.
Oh, good. My stream now.
She's gotten Gatorade all over everything.
Yeah, because you should have spooted it. Anyway, next track, Raku.
Nice things. Why we can't have them. All right. Moving on. Third to last track. This is Whisper of the Goddess. Nope. good down there. All right, let's have a listen. Okay, I'm going to cut this one off a little bit so we don't accidentally get spoiled on the next scene. But this song is also sort of a setup for the next one, but a bit slower, kind of more of a moody, melodic song for Whisper of the Goddess. But this one is kind of significant because the main melody you hear when the kind of chime synth comes in is the same melody from the first time we hear or we see the priestess, which was Clairvoyant Maiden, way back when we had the healing scene with Froggy earlier on. It's the same melody, but it's slower. It matches the tempo of this kind of more, again, foreboding and ominous
Evil
song.
now.
It's evil now, but
Evil.
I specifically wanted to have a callback to kind of like the lead-in to the final fight. Now that we know that this character is the central antagonistic force, and she's here trying to solve the riddle of the cube, which, you know, we could think of it, people are saying like a cursed Rubik's Cube. The whole reason why the party was sent out to recover this artifact to begin with. And something has been released that this character, the priestess, is trying to control. And we'll see how that pans out. But again, as a mood setter and a callback to the previous theme, I think this one comes together pretty well. It's not a complex song by any means, but it takes the original sort of mood and it really sort of changes the flavor of it. And I think what Wazi did with the animation is simple, but pretty effective in how it takes that idea and runs with it. So I'll let her sort of describe the thought process on the animation side.
100%. I was like, how can I get this cube open? So I watched a bunch of dudes do Rubik's Cubes real fast. Learned a lot about Rubik's Cubes this day. Because I was like, how else would you open a cube if not Rubik's it? Again, this is kind of like my interpretation of Songs of the Spiral was the entire time the evil thing was the spiral.
Right.
Because part of my head when I heard spiral, when I knew we were doing this project, was I thought it was going to be a big tower, like a big spiraling tower. And then I kind of like took that design with the masks. Everything's kind of spiraling together kind of thing. So that was my interpretation of it. And when me and Poops designed the character, I specifically stated, because again, I love the hair that Poops gave them. I specifically, from the start, was like, she is going to take that hair piece apart and use that with the thingamabobby, and
The
that's gonna
thingamabob.
unleash everything. So, and her hair is very fun to animate.
I like the idea that the hairpin was actually a wand, and like her catalyst for casting or whatever, like we see here in this scene, was what's keeping her hair up. Because you see the initial kind of reveal of the priestess early on, and you just think, oh, she's got like a kind of like you put like a chopstick in your hair, like a hairpin, but it's actually her wand. I think one of you or both of you had put that in the concept sketches when we were originally trying to figure out a design for Priestess.
Yeah, because it was, again, like I said, with her original design, it was always going to be that is with her, that is her thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the idea that the sort of influence that we'll sort of see that's been kind of the real main antagonistic force is this sort of spiral entity type thing. We saw it on the markers. The cult symbol is designed after a spiral. We saw it on the sea creature, the sea monster. And interestingly enough, I don't know if you meant to do this in Struggling Will, when we get the first shot of the priestess sicking her minions on the team, her eye does have a spiral pupil.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of,
that's been digital.
yeah, it's kind of like a hint, right? If you were to connect the pieces up till now, but whatever it is that she's unleashed, now it's out there. It's probably not going to be good. So shall we move on to the final battle?
Final battle.
This next one is Demon of the Rift, which was probably one of the most complex songs in the release. And likewise has a pretty complex animation. So, without further ado, let's check out the final battle. All right, we'll leave it here so we can get a good shot of the group while we talk about it. So, Demon of the Rift, the final battle theme, is the sort of culmination of everything we've seen up till now, with the entire party of 8 squaring off against the final form of the priestess. And we'll probably talk about this a bit more on the behind the scenes stuff we look at after this is done, but there's so much fun things in the designs for this final creature, and this is Plups and Wazi who collectively came up with the idea and design. So we'll kind of talk about that in the behind the scenes. But for the track itself, this is the longest track of the entire album, which is ended up working out well to show all the cool stuff in the final fight. I know Wazi will have some thoughts on the animation itself because this was a lot of work. But everyone has sort of their own special shot of the fight that they do. So we'll talk about that. Track-wise, this one starts very similarly to the track for the final battle of last year's release. But I wanted to kind of build on the idea we've seen so far of this kind of use of organs and choir synths and kind of aggressive beats, but not going, super, super hard with it. Overall, I think this battle theme is not quite as heavy as last year's, but it does a lot more. It's kind of more dynamic. We have instruments coming and going like we've done on all these, but this one features a key change when Matt shows up to do his attack on the final boss. You can hear the song shift upwards in key, which is something I can do using my loop station. And so I had to do it live while I was recording it, but I've never done a key change before. And I wanted to experiment the idea of kind of the pace and scale of the fight ramping up a little bit. So you hear that increase in, or the jump up in the tone and kind of scale of everything. I think it turned out well. I want to mess around with that effect a little bit more and see what I can do with it. But it was a fun theme to write. I think next time I do something like this, I want to go for an entirely different type of feel. What I'd really like to be able to do is do like a multi-stage orchestral final battle theme. Something similar to, for folks who played FF6, the final battle theme against Kefka. Dancing Mad is an incredible like multi-stage theme of a fight. And I'm not that kind of composer, but maybe someday I'll be able to replicate something that has multiple phases. But yeah, this one was fun. I think it kind of sells the idea of this big, large-scale fight with the entire group. But the animation was a chore. I know Wazi put a ton into that, so I'll let her talk to you folks about what she did, because we definitely had a lot to sort through.
But yeah, you'll notice this song is significantly longer than the others.
Yeah, the full version's 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, and I didn't know that because I only ever listened to the full versions when I was making everything, and not the short versions. So I was like, oh, okay, this is probably going to be as long as everything else. So originally, the previous song was supposed to be the transformation of the priestess. But then I realized I had so many fucking frames to work with that I was like, oh, well, I'll just add the transformation here, which is why the earlier scene was just her Rubik's cubing it up. So I threw her transformation as a big deal here. And again, I really like her design. I think Whoops did a fantastic job. Kind of bringing
that was a group effort. That was a team effort, dude.
I chose her colors, and Whoops really made her look creepy. I added a couple more like bones things to her. One of my favorite elements was her hands fused to her staff.
Yep.
And then ripping off her body. Unfortunately, YouTube is not doing this justice here because this actually looks beautiful in human real life. It looks real janky on this screen that we're watching it, but I promise you,
should have put this at 1080, huh? Whoops.
Yeah, it deserves it. It's fucking
way to go, Raku.
It's fucking great. This one is, again, I didn't get the impact I wanted with it, but I liked how it turned out. I gave everybody their little spotlight of attacking and everything. Again, with this, Ramen pulls out his old instrument from the first shot. And if you look, actually what the priestess is trying to do, her attack, is she is trying to basically possess everyone. And you see Ramen take down his sunglasses and you see the swirl in his eyes, but he kind of like dispels her attack on him with his own little noodle arm, bringing up to kind of like dispel the attack. And then he pulls out the little woot woot to fucking His little trumpet to dispel it for everybody, so that
It's a
nobody else will
trombone,
kind of.
Wazzy.
Shut up! I don't know instruments. It's a
It was
toot toot.
it was a trombone last year too.
It makes a toot toot.
Those dude.
It goes doot. It goes doot doot. But yeah, everybody kind of got a chance to shine, and I just kind of wanted her like degrading as we went along. So that's kind of why I was like, oh, I'll just have Poops summon to slurp it up. Poops would be down with that. Bits loses their arm there. They full on, or sorry, Cosicus, full on puts their own mixture on their arm, makes it big and beefy, punches her in the side of the head. And you can't see it too well in this animation, but every damage that the priestess takes when it goes to the large shot, you see it on her body. So it was an endeavor, and this was a big long project. It's actually 2 different files mashed together immediately after Bits's attack. That is when the first file ends and the second file starts. Because it was just so large and so many frames
I got a
that
swear timer real quick.
oh jeez. And everything was timed via frame counts, because I couldn't use the second song in the second, or the song in the second video, to match where I needed music things to happen. I had to frame count off the original track to match perfectly to the second, just because I didn't want them to like affect each other in any way, and I couldn't cut the exact sound clip to do the second video. But yeah, and then it kind of ends with Froggy kind of breaking her staff and healing her, and her disintegrating away.
The cut-ins were also your idea too, with the eyes.
Yeah, that is very Persona stolen.
It looks really cool. I love that effect. It's very anime
and
in a good way.
Yeah, and the scene setup is kind of the same, but backwards from what I did last year with fighting the tyrant. And it kind of reminds me a lot of fighting Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII, the original.
Yeah, overall, it's a really complex, and there's a lot of stuff going on for the scene, but it turned out really well.
And she bleeds purple just for contrast.
Right.
It's just one of those things. I was like, let's make her bleed purple.
Very otherworldly. I was telling Pwops when we were talking in a separate discussion about the concepting and ideas, since I let these two sort of just run wild with the concept and design for a priestess. But I was telling Pwops, I said I was really tempted to just send Wazzy a picture of like sexy Cthulhu and say just do that.
Rude.
As a joke. But you guys had already come up with the base designs before I even got there, and it was way cooler than what I originally had envisioned. So I got no complaints there.
Yeah, and with her face, this is kind of why we didn't go with the squid in an earlier scene.
Right.
And we went with the leaf seahorse instead, is because I wanted her to have kind of like a little blah face.
I do like how the idea of the spiral not only applies to the pattern of the tentacles on the face, but with the shell head. And so we have like the through lines on the spiral idea is all over the design, which I don't know if you did that on purpose, but it's something I definitely noticed.
It was 100%, because it was the hair. If you watch the transformation again, her hair goes in a spiral until it kind of spirals into the solidified carapace kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So that's the final fight. Now let us see the epilogue. And we'll wrap up the album for Songs of the Spiral. And then we'll do behind the scenes. So let's check out Victorious Heroes. right. We'll jump back a little bit to the actual screenshot here. So the all right, Red Dragon. I'll give you that one. You had like 4 seconds left. Fine. So the final theme here, Victorious Heroes, is like a credits theme. And if you folks remember back to Lost Kingdom, for those of you who were here last year, the ending theme for that one, which was called Lost to Time, was very kind of slow and somber. It wasn't like a big victorious, uplifting song. It was just kind of more mellow and kind of melancholic, actually. It was just the way the writing of the tracks sort of panned out. So for this one, when I was talking to Wazi, I said, I want to do something that's kind of more like an actual triumphant theme as we're rolling through credits and showing like the last couple shots here. And so the style of the track that I wrote for Victorious Heroes is a march. It's not a fast one, but it's got a march tempo. And people picked up on the kind of mix of symphonic instruments. We have like strings, and that plucked pizzicato string type of instrument comes back. The really high kind of trill part you hear is a piccolo. And it's overall kind of just like a happy theme and meant to kind of pair with this victorious shot of all of our characters looking out over the sunset with the burning banner of the cult of the spiral here as everything is sort of ended. And then we have a scrolling series of credits for the tracks, or for the characters, and also for the folks who worked on the project. A couple things that I noticed that I thought were cool touches. We had Froggy and Banani up in the corner, but then we also have Wazi and Matt's characters holding hands down in the bottom. It's kind of a nice nod to what we've seen so far. And of course, Ramen with his significant other, the pink diamond.
I told you it was coming back. Robin would listen. If Robin were here, he would agree that he would want his fucking money.
Also worth
So
noting,
Robin gets to keep his big diamond, but I don't get to keep my doubloons?
You lost it all while you were running. He held on to his diamond.
I would have held on to my stuff. Come on.
You have no pockets.
Yes, I do.
Should have put him in your boots.
Oh, you're so right.
Also, Causticus is visibly missing his arm in this last shot. I think canonically he'll probably be able to just grow it back with his alchemy. But
it'd be like a plant arm.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, plant arm.
That's a good idea. Ace asks, question, will you guys make another one for next year or so? I talked to Wazi a little bit about that as we were getting towards the end of the writing for this one. I don't think I want to do another entry using these characters. This is the second iteration of this RPG project that features these characters, and I feel like this is kind of a good end to their story. But I would like to do another RPG project in the future. I definitely will be writing more of this style again. But I kind of want to do it with new characters and a completely new story, maybe new setting. But by that same token, maybe we can do something like cameos. You never know. It'll depend on what I kind of write out. But the whole idea of writing in this style is very different from the other types of tracks I do, which is fun. It kind of forces me to think differently when I'm putting together the music. And so we'll see. We'll see. I definitely want to work more in the future on stuff, but I don't think it's going to be like a part 3. I think we've seen a lot with these characters, and it'd be fun to do something new.
We told their story. It's time for somebody else's story.
Yeah. You never know. Maybe we'll see other characters based on other people we know.
Suspicious.
Who knows?
We'll just have to see. But yeah, the kind of wrap out the discussion on the song itself again, kind of more upbeat, victorious, like victory lap type song. I know the animation was not super complex, but Wazi, I'll let you add any final thoughts for this one, since we talked about it and you put all this together. So go ahead.
So yeah, rocks came back because I was like, I worked too hard on these rocks to not put them in another part of the video. So yeah, I wanted Roman to have his gem back specifically when I was like figuring this one out. And again, Bits or Cosicus lost their arm, so that had to be shown. And then I just kind of put the couples together because I could. And yeah, that's the thing me and Matt do. Matt doesn't move a lot, but I will swing our arms like violently if we are holding hands in public. So I
I've
was like,
seen it.
that's gonna happen. So yeah, it was just I just wanted a nice little scene of where they're looking at the sunrise and like the hope for a better day and having the flag burning in the background as they're all kind of like, yeah, we did a good job. It's not an overwhelming victory, but it's a victory nonetheless.
There were casualties.
There were casualties. I
Arm.
remember, I
Coins.
remember texting Raku and saying, "Yo, can I like fuck up a character?" And he was like what? And I was like somebody loses a limb, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, go for it, I guess." And then he thought I was gonna do it in number 16. Which was the other highly animated one. But I was like, no, because I had it in my head from the beginning that Cossicus was going to get big beefy arms and punch something because of their potions. So I was like, nah, they're gonna punch something and then their arm is gonna implode.
Yeah. When she asked me, I was like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want. If you think it would make sense for the narrative and the scene, sure. Go nuts.
I thought it was neat and I enjoyed it.
Fun idea.
Yeah.
Be gone, arm.
Put a pin in plant arm. I think that's got some potential.
Who knows? Maybe one day me and Poops will draw fan art of the future of all these people.
Oh yeah.
We can do that.
My guy will be a mayor.
Oh yeah!
I'll be the mayor. I'll be a dictator in some little town with my slimes.
Yeah.
Slime Lord.
Yeah. I'm just there. I say dictator, but I don't think I'd do anything. I'd just be a terrible, terrible mayor. People will come to me,
really bad
knock on my door, and I'd be like, I'm not here. I'm not here.
You would be one of those mayors that has a council, and then you make your council do everything. And you
oh
do
yes,
nothing.
100%.
Yeah.
I just realized I saw Sourlad popped up in the chat. I don't know when you got here, Sourlad, how much you saw, but you'll have to check out the video once it goes live after the stream today, since you made a cameo earlier on. And that's why I paused on the credits so you could see that you're credited here as well as an inspiration for the character.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was the Songs of the Spiral. Let's go load up the behind the scenes. The behind the scenes is shorter. It's like 5 or 6 minutes. What I figured we'd do is we can watch the video and then I can jump around to different sections if you guys want to talk about some of the stuff that went into the development of all the concepts and characters and whatnot. So let me see where I can grab it. I'll do it from here. I'll set this one to unlisted too, and I'll send you and Wazi the link. Whoops. And you can watch it on your own. There we go. And then I'll cue that up here.
Oh, this video is unavailable.
Let us in.
I'm just gonna watch it on the stream. Don't fuck with it.
Is there any volume on this?
Try it again.
On it that
Try it again. Try the link.
Is there any volume we need to worry about for the video or no?
No, the volume level should be the same as the one we just watched.
Okay. No, I just meant like music or audio wise, if there was anything important to listen to.
No, I actually used songs from Lost Kingdom for the behind the scenes just because I thought that was fun. All right. Should be able to see it on the stream. Are we ready? I'll go ahead and start the playback for the chat.
Yeah.
All right, let's check it out. Behind the scenes for Songs of the Spiral.
Cap did a really good job. Wait, am I supposed to
Yeah,
talk
it's a
during
really
this?
cool piece of art.
talk during this, or no? I should shut up.
It's not a super big deal. You can if you want. I did see Sour Lad resubbed for 20 months. Thanks, Sour Lad. My
Thanks, Sour.
alerts aren't working on this particular layout, but thank you.
Yeah, Cap did a fantastic job. I really like it.
Very cool.
Oh, those are not my concepts.
Yeah.
Those are Pwhoops's. That's Pwhoop's art.
Yeah.
There was 2 different sets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One was one I colored, and then the other.
Yeah. I did this sketch, and then we were both in a call, and Wazzy wanted to color them too, since we were both working on it.
Yeah.
So
evil sap.
So I had sent her over this sketch, and then she started it, and then I cleaned up the sketch and then started coloring it. So
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the evil staff. Oh, these are layer breakdowns, so that on their default poses you can kind of see how many layers they are. I made each layer its own color. I don't know what happened to the top of Pwhoops's head here.
it's gone.
Yeah, but you can kind of see the different layers that I used. Ramen's the really interesting one here, but you can just kind of get an idea of where everything was placed on every character.
Yeah, I dropped the in-track volume down if you guys want to talk over it. My plan was to let the video run and then we can jump through specific sections if you wanted to talk about them specifically. That way you're not having to like rush through it as the video's playing.
Holy fuck, Ramen.
Yeah, that's Ramen. Raku has no face.
Nope.
I didn't draw it. Not until the end.
These are the fully rendered character concepts that Pwhops did for all of the main cast.
Potatoes. Pwhops potatoes.
I know. I'm being called for food. Okay, actually, I will be right back.
Hey, babe.
Okay.
The babos.
And the shading and lighting on Ramen's concept art's so good.
I know. Whoops, put smiley faces to show how they felt about each design.
Yep, I remember. I
That
remember
was-
them specifically saying, "If you pick the one with the frowny face, I'm going to be very upset."
Yeah. That's the first kind of concept as we were talking through it.
Yep. Red Dragon says I'll have to get Poppers to do my character in their art. Yeah. Again, for character design stuff, Pwhops is on point all the time. That's why I work with them.
Yeah. So at this point, I had drawn my version of it, and then Pwhops kind of took over from there.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Some folks might have remembered me doing some of these priestess sketch concepts on stream. We talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
And these are ideas for the cult emblem itself.
Yeah, and we wound up taking a simplified version of the top right.
All right. That's
Hello, I am back.
the end of the video. You dealt with your potatoes?
Papapos.
I've grabbed my potatoes.
So yeah, I think what I want to do is I want to go through Pwops's final designs, and we can kind of talk about those.
Sure, we can jump around wherever we need to in the video. So, do we
Yeah.
want to go to their section first?
Yeah, if you're okay with that.
Yeah. I can jump to wherever you need for the stream so they can see what we're talking about.
Yeah. So again with Banani here, very much we took the scarf and the hat and gave them to Froggy.
Yeah.
After he broke out of jail. We wanted him to look very sad in jail, and we made a joke about what would Froggy's weapon be, and we were like, he just finds a stick with a rock, and
Yeah.
that's his new summoning staff because obviously it got broken. Since Matt's graying in real life, we had his character gray out again. I can't remember why you made me a bunny, but I remember arguing about we
Cute.
needed a shield.
You mean why the rabbit is in the rabbit shape is the shield?
Yeah, I can't remember why we did
Because
that.
you
I think
got
my
chased
thought
by a rabbit,
process.
and so this is
Yeah, I
like
think
your
my
revenge was creating a weapon in the shape of what you hate.
Yeah.
No, I think I was in my head. I was just like, well, she's already kind of got some sort of like bunny vibes. I want to continue that because her outfit changed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit less bunny, and I wanted to keep the bunny aspect. So I was like, how could I do that? Well, hair ribbons, maybe a cool shield.
'Cause
Yeah.
So
in
yeah, we.
in Lost Kingdom, your hood was a rabbit shaped.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it? Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, I remember we were talking about how the world changed, and we decided it got warmer. So that's why we removed Ramen's pants because we were like, what would he do in the heat? Obviously, take off his pants and let his little noodles out. Because my headcanon is that he just forms his noodles into two sets
Yeah.
when he has to
We just
pretend to
stuffed
be
them in
human.
his pant legs.
Yeah, and then we just pulled Pwops's robe up because again, it's hot out now.
Yeah, it just
And
got cut.
we gave them a big old sun hat for it. Because yeah, it's warm out now. So yeah, my dress is a little shorter, and I removed the tights and stuff for it. But yeah, Banani's shirt is open because it's hot out now. It's warmer. Bits
Global
is like
warming.
Cossicus is the only one that's not affected by any of it.
He went, I'm not changing my look.
Yeah. They had a really solid design in one, and so we didn't like stray too far from that.
Yeah, it was too strong of a design to muck about with too strongly.
So yeah, so basically what we did is we did each of us like we took this base character sheet and we both colored our own version. That's why you see how myself and Cossicus and Raku look different. Is because we both colored the characters the way we thought they should look, and then we let Raku decide which one was going to be the final version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the choice of outfit styles and the colors all worked out really well. In
Yeah.
looking at the prototypes, this is from the prototype phase for the concepts, and then the draft concepts and finalized ones that Pwups did before I handed them over to Cap to turn into the full album art. Like each step of the process, I think these designs continue to evolve. Like if we go jump forward a little bit to the SketchUp layer that Pwups did for each of the cast, you can kind of see
clear idea.
Yeah.
Also because Ramen is he's very proud of being from Mexico. So we made sure he had the flag colors on his character.
Oh, okay. That's why you chose that combination of colors and the patterning.
That is, yeah, that's why we did that, is because we were like, yeah, he's got to rep Mexico. So we did that.
It wasn't enough that you gave him maracas.
No. We had to step it up.
Another thing that Cap asked when I handed over the concepts and he was doing like a compositing sketch for the album art, he asked what the height proportions were. So it might be hard to tell just by looking at the album art, but I kind of gave him my headcanon hierarchy for the heights of the characters. I don't remember what order it were. Matt's was the tallest, I believe. Matt and Ramen are the tallest, and then I think it goes like maybe Banani Bits. My character and Wazi's are the shortest, which is canonically correct in real life.
It is unfortunate.
But he had me like right like a tallest to shortest, and then he kind of scaled them when putting the compositing together, and then he used that to actually start doing all of the poses and things.
Which is really cool.
Yeah,
Good
that's
idea.
a detail I wasn't expecting, but he asked me. I said, "Oh, well, let me think about that and just write it out." And then he took that and adapted it to the actual final drawing.
He made Froggy very buff in the album art.
Well, he was in jail doing manual labor.
He was in jail doing manual labor, so it makes sense. But like, damn, did he make Froggy fucking shredded?
He also made you shredded. Look at your
I
arms.
like how big he made Banani's thighs as well. That's enjoyable.
I think the funny thing about the height thing is that I drew them all to the height I thought they were.
Yeah, we all kind of like that different. We didn't discuss it. We just kind of went.
Yeah, so that sketch we were just looking at, that was actually how I saw everybody's heights towards each other, because they all they were all in the same document. So
yeah, they're all in the same spot. I do like. I'll flip back to the sketch there in a sec, but for the album art, I do like how everybody's got a pose that is kind of reflective of their character in some capacity.
Yeah.
We have like
Bits is about to whip stuff, and Froggy's like doing that. You've got your
JoJo standing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a JoJo pose for Froggy.
Yeah, he's got. Did you know when you made him pull his little trombone out that I was going to add the trombone in the final fight?
Did I know you were going to do that for the animation?
Yeah.
No, I don't think you told me.
Oh, okay. Because I noticed he has his trombone in there, but
oh
use
yeah.
that in the final fight.
Let me think of when Cap finished. He finished this before you finished the animation.
Okay.
Like he did this.
Okay, well that's kind of a cute circumstance then, because like I made a callback to it. So.
This was done like I want to say like 4 months ago at least. But he asked me for Ramen's character. Like he said, Bard. I said, oh yeah, he plays like a guitar, and I showed him in the animation that we did last year where he has his trombone, and so he took that and he put it in there as the concept for like his actual pose, which I thought was a cool idea. I don't even know how like a noodle person plays an instrument like that, if he even has lungs, but surely if he's a bard,
you can figure it out.
I also think it's kind of funny. Again, I didn't plan this. I let Cap do whatever he wanted. I said just go nuts and do it. For my character, for Roctus, he has a really kind of like flamboyant, sassy look to him, which is kind of funny. It's a little bit tough to see because my logo's up here in the corner, but he has like these crystals that are orbiting all the way around his body, and it's a very kind of like a fabulous pose. I was like, I'm not gonna object to that. I don't know anything about this guy's personal life. And like Plups down here is kind of like the superhero, like jumping through the air pose. Yeah, everyone's very, very dynamic. I thought it came together really well. And then for the background, it's like a ripple texture for like the water theme, and then the outer border is a darker blue. It's not textured, I don't think, but it's kind of like a big portrait backdrop, and then the cast is in the middle.
The last two things I want to talk about, if you can jump to 201 for me.
Spaghetti hell.
Yeah. So look at those legs. That's why I was like, every time he's walking, he's using those legs.
Look at those gams.
Like look at how many each, like, so I put 3 noodles per layer. So if you count, there's about 4 layers there. I think 4 or 5 layers. 1, 2. Yeah, there's 5 layers of noodles, and each noodle layer has 3 noodles. So
it's a lot of noodles.
It was hell, and it is a rotation of I think 12 frames. It's a 12 frame loop for his little noodle leggies. So it wasn't fun, but that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. And then we don't have an image of it, but if you jump to fucking 432, we don't have the final version of Priestess, but this is Pups's kind of final version.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can just kind of see
Without
where,
colors.
yeah, without colors, you can just kind of see where we were going with it, with just like, okay, we have to have the dress elements in, we wanted the tentacles in, and like the arms coming off and everything, and
Yeah.
just the carapace going down the back. I thought was a real dope ass idea of us.
Yeah, and then Wazi came up with this sick idea of like tentacles bursting from her chest, which is really cool.
Yeah,
So we
and she
had to
went
go with
through
that.
she went through many different color schemes. We fought about we didn't fight per se, but we went back and forth on the colors for a long
Yeah, it took us a
time.
bit.
It was probably the longest part. I think we nailed down her design pretty quickly. But once we had her down, we were like,
Okay, how do we color this?
how do we color this? And that took the longest part.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. There you put the final
Yeah,
version
I
in
don't know if
the.
you can bring it up on screen to show, but this is like the final version that I did when I was making her. And again, she's not too many layers. But she moves a lot, which is the problem with her. She's only 10 layers, so she's not the worst. Ramen is definitely worse than her. But
Give me a second.
again, she doesn't have as many legs to move.
I can, if I save this locally, I can create a source for it, and I could show the chat what you're talking about side by side with the one on the video.
Yeah, because I think she turned out so like she's my favorite part of this fucking thing.
She's very cool.
Should have given her
I
a
think
name.
we did a great job on her. But yeah,
That's
she
true,
had
I
a
guess
version where she was pink. We had a version where she had red on her. We had a lot of versions of
There was
her.
like a lime green version too.
Yeah, so there's Poops's and then there's my final next to it. Because we needed something to just break apart that middle. And so I just kind of decided to throw more carapace in her.
Yeah, I feel like the prototype drawing here that Pweps did, the hands merged into the staff is a little more clear there, and yours is like the hands are wrapped around the staff and melted onto it.
Yeah.
And so I think either of those would have been fine. I was telling Pweps early on when we are getting ready to launch the project. I said the idea to have the arms like disembodied and like rip off of the torso, I think it's a really neat kind of horrific touch, and that's why I was curious to who came up with that idea.
I literally don't remember.
Yeah.
It could have been either of us, honestly. I have no idea. I think at one point we were having her hold it, and then we were like arguing about like we were trying to decide what to do with the arms.
Right. I remember now. We were both arguing because we were like, well, the silhouette doesn't seem quite right with her holding her arms out like that. And so one of us must have said, well, let's just pull it out.
Rip 'em
Yeah,
off.
I think I said we can just rip her arms off or
Yeah.
something. And you said, "Oh my god." And then you drew her arms taken off and then her with her hands on the staff. And then I can't remember which one of us was like, "No, meld them in." And then
We yapped too much.
yeah, we talk too much. It's a combined effort. We just we go crazy when we get together.
And I do think it's kind of
little
neat that in the actual animation, once the staff is ripped off and the fight starts, when the priestess actually starts casting that hypnosis spell, the staff isn't just floating on its own. It's being wielded by like the leg tentacles.
Yeah.
It's being grasped. Like you see in the concept art here, but it's kind of cool that you see that in the animation. So it's like, it's not just magically floating there forever. It was separated and then it's being controlled and manipulated by the leg tentacles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the corruption.
Yeah.
We just wanted a freaky little guy.
Yeah, we wanted her to be weird and gross instead of sexy and cute.
Yeah.
That's where I was starting out the drawings, and I went, no, this isn't right.
I think the horror, like the body horror and like actual Lovecraftian horror route, is more interesting. It might be done to death a little bit, but like I'd much rather the final big boss that the group fights is something like that than like, oh, it's just a really sexy sorceress lady.
Oh no, the power of titties.
You know, maybe you go like a Unalesca route where it's like a really sexy lady attached to like a big gross monster, but I'd rather we just go the monster route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Anything else? I didn't have too much of my stuff that I wanted to talk about. I know a couple folks remembered the discussion about these sketches. So for the concepting, I had these done that I handed them over to Wazi and Plups before they started prototyping out Priestess. I said, here's what I kind of came up with, just drawing some ideas on stream and, you know, see if you can use any of this stuff for what you guys are coming up with. I think one of the through lines, I drew the character with her eyes closed just to have that kind of like serene, calm demeanor. But I put all sorts of different ideas for her outfit, like the priestess robes. Some look more like a cape. And then one of these had like two of these have the eye obscured. So I was like, we're coming up with these ideas on stream, and then same with the staff. You know, see what you guys can adapt. And I had some ideas for color paletting here. I kind of envisioned lighter colors, which I didn't. Did I put the one that Wazi did with the different colors in here? Yeah, it's here.
I think so.
Yeah. This was.
By the way, you still have the monster girl up, covering half the screen.
No one needs to see my face. Yeah, so this was what Wazi took from the original design. Then I'll jump over to the more fleshed out ones Plups did in a sec. But like we have the idea of the staff being the hair ornament, which again, that was a really cool idea. And then over here, Plups, I think you'd stepped away for potatoes when we were talking about it before. But these are the more kind of fleshed out designs for Priestess that Plups developed. And like we were talking about while you were gone, the little faces here indicate Plups's preference for the...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that middle one at all.
It's funny because I like the hair on the middle one. The rest of the outfit, I can kind of take or leave, but I feel like the hair for the second one on the outfit for the first one probably would have been a good secondary. But when we were talking about, I don't know if I was talking to you, Plups, or Wazi, but the idea of having like the hair long enough to be bound up by something can take that wand hairpin idea and run with it. And so that's how we kind of arrived on a version adapting the first one here, which coincidentally was the one that Plups liked the most. But if it had been 2 or 3, I was warned that I would earn the scorn and fury.
No, it was just a middle one. It's just a
middle one. I would have been okay with the one on the right.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the middle one at all.
And again, we were doing these together, so like we were half looking, like we both had each other's screens open.
Yeah,
we were just kind of making our own designs as we were doing it. We do that a lot. We will both draw, but we'll both have a stream of each other's screens. Up as well, so we can watch each other and make sure each other's working.
That's how this one has the similar hair thing as the one Wazi did with the staff in it, because we were talking at that point, and you said you liked the idea of the staff and the hair, and I said that's very cool. Yeah. So I did like the bun like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I
so that it was easy to add it in case.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, the overall design process for the Priestess was something we did separately. That was after a good portion of the stuff had been kind of mapped out, but I'm glad we took the time to kind of talk about it and come up with a combination of ideas that worked. I didn't really do much of that. I just said, hey, here's some basic ideas, see what you folks can come up with. And we took those ideas and distilled them down to what we ended up with for the character. Kind of regret not including the Priestess as part of the art, but I feel like it would have been a bit too telling that it's going to be plot significant.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Because I would have
included a huge spiral in the back, though.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but I didn't want this to be too busy when Cap was putting together this art. Because
Oh yeah,
it's
that's
a little bit
true.
tough to see, but you can see a ripple, that like concentric circles that ripple in, kind of like something was dropped in a body of water. And we opted to do that instead of incorporating some sort of spiral design, since the kind of quote unquote logo, the green one that I did, has that a bit more prominently. Another thing we talked about was text. I know Cap's not really a font text artist, but what he put together was pretty cool. I said like a metallic, kind of like a brushed metal metallic type of font that we can combine with the rest of it. I think it fits.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we have talked through the entire project. Before we get ready to wrap up, and I'll start looking at my raid list. Do you folks have any final thoughts for the chat?
Good job, everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys did an amazing job. You guys worked really hard. It's so obvious in everything you did. It's like you guys busted your balls and
We
in
put
your
our whole
buns.
pussy in, I think.
Yes,
I
you
think we can
did.
collectively say we all put our whole pussy in.
I sure did, Wazzy.
He did put his whole pussy in there.
Maybe the songs of the spiral were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, like I said at the top of the stream, everyone pitched in to help make this project turn out incredibly. It's a lot of work, but I'm happy with the results. And so after stream today, I'll make the compilation video and the behind the scenes video live. The tracks themselves they've actually been on Spotify for about 4 or 5 days now. They got processed quicker than I thought they would be. Those are currently streamable on Spotify and Tidal. If you're a content creator and you want to use my music for your stuff, you can download them for free off Bandcamp.
And don't forget to check out Raku's other tracks while you're there.
Yeah, again,
like his Halloween specials. Maybe they will be appearing in Spooky Sushi in the future, because I don't have licensing to use other music. So maybe I'll just be stealing Raku stuff. Who knows?
That sounds like a really specific hypothetical scenario.
That is a very specific hypothetical. Good thing that'll never happen.
Let me see. A couple folks I know are online. I guess I can also ask Wazzy, since I know I kind of stole some of your time that you'd normally be streaming today. Do you have any peers or friends that you know that are online that we can raid to? I'm down to.
Dude, I've got like 7. Just fucking pick someone. I've got too many. I hate when I have this many. That's usually when I just go find a new dude. Because I'm like, that's too many dudes.
It's so many dudes.
From. Yeah, that's like too many dudes to choose from.
You've got so many dudes now, and you just keep collecting more.
I just keep collecting more. I don't get rid of any of my dudes.
Abundance of dudes. Okay, we can raid my friend Micro, one of my musician VTuber peers. She's playing what's Wuthering Waves? That's must be some new game a lot of people are playing. Is that like a gacha type RPG game? Looks like it.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Let's go weather her waves if you catch my drift.
All right.
That's a good one.
I know, I'm on a roll.
It's not worth a boo. It's worth a giggle.
Hunger makes me funny.
A little chuffle. I finished eating already, by the way.
I want papapos. I didn't get any papap. Nobody delivered me papap.
I had to go get.
I did get a slice of cheese midstream. I will say that.
Oh,
Matt did deliver me a singular slice of cheese.
How nice of him! What a good husband.
I know.
All right, let's
He's so
go.
good to you.
Let me go to outro. I got the raid queued up here.
Bye, crew.
Bye.
Thanks again, folks, for tuning in and checking out the release of Songs of the Spiral. Thanks to Wazzy and Pups for co-hosting with me and
Yes,
jumping on.
Raku.
We will be back on Thursday this week. I will be playing more Hades. Started playing Hades, Wazzy. You should jump on sometime.
Okay, I love being gay for Hades.
Boy, do I suck at it. But in the meantime, hope you all have a good rest of your day. And now let's go see how Micro's doing in Wuthering Waves. Have a good night, folks.